Okay, good morning. Sorry for the slight delay in getting started. A few small technical issues. But we do want to make sure everyone was on for Colton so we can have people. We do have a quorum present. I believe Debbie Pyle is online, Colton.
In a second, we're gonna.
Okay.
we're gonna get her.
Even without her, we can have a quorum present, so thank you. We're gonna call the meeting to order. There is an on-site packet, but it will become part of our consent agenda, correct?
Part of it.
Okay, do we need to discuss part?
Just let me give you just a quick, I forgot to add the complaint log since that's a new thing that goes with my staff report. That should have been part of the consent agenda along with my staff report. So did add that. And then there was 2 pages. There were 2 on one of our agenda items for the refresher courses. There are 2 places listed. One of them, they had to make a correction in their presentation to us. So it's just a 2-page from Surrey College, which is one of the refresher courses, which will be a later agenda item. So those are the 2 things on the onsite. You're certainly welcome to look at that.
Yes, and it's in the on-site packet. Yes, under the education. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any additions or revisions to the agenda? Okay. Announcement, I have one announcement that for this meeting, Ruth will be serving as the vice chair for the education committee. Other than that, any other additional announcements? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from September 9th?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the September 9th, 2025 Education Committee minutes as written.
Thanks, Patty.
I'll second.
Thank you, Phyllis. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Anyone abstain? Okay, motion carries. Okay, moving on to our consent agenda items. We have the nursing education staff report from Janelle. Anything you would like to add or discuss from that?
I think, there are just a couple of things I bring your attention to if no one else has an issue with that. I think, 2 things. One is just to note, because it's gonna be important later, Donnelly College did give us notice that their interim director of nursing did resign. That was effective 11/14/25, and Laura Sampson, I think who was here the last time, has been named the new interim. And so I just wanted to make sure that go on. And the other thing was under the new activities, if you might have noticed that KSBN did add some new education report. Working with NCSBN, we added that to our website. And it does have, I just wanted to make a quick, that is 2023 data. That is what they've worked on. The national database has 2022, 2023. We asked them to, they were willing to work with us. We got the 2023 and 2024 is coming. So that will be next. Remember that they do, I think there's now 39 programs that do that core report, and some of them report at the beginning of the year, some the end of the year. So it takes them a little while to get everybody's 2024 data all done and in the system. So that is coming, and I just wanted to let you know it's on the website. And we were hoping to get some that updated sometime, maybe the first quarter is what I've heard. And I think that's all unless anyone has questions.
And the preliminary site visits for 2026 are listed in your report.
Yes,
Great.
and I do have some people listed, and I'll be getting in touch with you if you have any issues with what's there right now, just let me know and we'll get those adjusted, but that's kind of the preliminary for the year. A couple of dates yet, that we're waiting on, so.
And then the petition to retest. Any questions for Janelle?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the consent item agenda, which includes nursing education staff report, B 2026 site visit schedules, and C petition to retest summary 8/13/25 through 11/7/25.
I said, go ahead. I second. Thanks, Karen. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Abstentions, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, now moving right along to our site visit reports. Starting with our first one, Allied Health Career Training PN Program. If you'd like to come forward. Is there anyone that'll be joining online?
No.
Okay,
So just to note, Allied Health and Career Training was new last year. We
Yes.
went to do a follow-up after first graduation visit. Michelle Haley and I did that, and report is in there, so I just wanted to. And if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is, excuse me, my name is Connor Powell. I'm the owner and CEO at Allied Health Career Training.
thank you, Connor. We appreciate you coming today. We have your report. It starts on page 16 of the Education Committee report. And if you'd like to talk about your program just a little bit, and then we can ask questions. Sorry, a lot of details.
Oh, sure,
Like
yeah.
the report. But anything you'd like to share with us?
I want to thank Janelle, for your work. It's always been really insightful. Every time we speak to you, you help us so much, especially us having a new program. So, it's pretty hard to do, but I think we did a pretty good job. So, we're very proud. My entire team is very proud. Our community has provided great feedback. And, I think we're on the track to have a great program, so.
You might just brag on yourself a little bit, your first 12 grads.
Yes, 100% pass rate for NCLEX in the first prize.
That is wonderful. Any questions for Connor? So the recommendation is listed on page 27.
So Connor, it is about your evaluation of the program. So are you guys working on that?
Yes,
You're able to,
Sorry, I'll just add, I'm sorry, Danielle Kaufman, who is their program director. Did send me an initial plan. So they had done an evaluation of the program for their first year, but it wasn't the full, what are we gonna do moving forward? So they've got a plan,
oh, great.
yes,
a started one. So,
yeah, we immediately hopped on that, so
yeah, you did.
I think it was the next morning, Janelle.
I think it was.
Excellent. And you had until May 31st to get that in. Good work.
Yeah, thank you.
I move to accept the follow-up after first graduation site visit report with recommendations for Allied Health Career Training PN Program and recommend approval for 5 years.
Thank you, Karen.
A second.
Thanks, Patty. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying yes.
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 Opposed? Oh, thanks, Debbie. Abstentions, motion carries. Thank you, Connor.
Thank you
Great
so
work
much.
and continue
I
on.
appreciate it, thank you.
Okay. Next up, we have Salina Area Technical College ADN and PN program. And that begins on page 28. Oh, I thought I saw it. You did.
We have the PM report that listed there first.
Okay, so we'll start with the PN program.
Would you like to introduce
Yeah.
yourself?
I'm Naomi Tatro, the Director of Nursing at Salina Area Technical College.
Thank you for coming. And we have your PN report first. If there's anything you'd like to add or talk about for the committee.
So we had our site visit for both our PN and our ADN. Our program is a 1+1. We admit once a year, and then we also had our ASIN visit during this site visit. So
Busy times.
it was very busy.
Any questions from the committee? Recommendations and start on, or is it page 44. Nothing at all. Okay, that's good.
I move to accept the reapproval site visit report for Salina Area Technical College PN program with recommendations and reapprove the program for 5 years.
Patty,
I second.
thank you, Angela. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Abstentions, motion carries. Thank you, and we will move on to the ADM program. Naomi, anything additional you'd like to tell us about that program?
So our ASIN visit was for our ADN program only, and again, we had that at the same time. I think everything went well. We submitted everything to Janelle and what we needed to. I don't think there was anything I needed to submit after the visit. It was during.
We just had a question, you know, the contract, I think was the follow.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then it's been corrected, the slide original. There was like a verbiage in there.
Wonderful. Thank you for getting that to her quickly. Any questions from the committee?
No.
I move to accept the site visit report for Salina Technical College ADN program with recommendations and reapprove for the time period of initial national accreditation 5 years.
Thank you.
A second.
Thanks, Karen. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Abstentions. Motion carries. Thank you,
Thank you.
Naomi.
This was a change and Colton, Kenyatta Brent and Dr. Jerry Tyrell should be on the other link. We could have them. They were originally planning to be here. And
They, I have just moved them over.
okay, thank you. So just while they're getting there, Newman University has a nurse anesthesia program. It moved from a master's level to a DNP in the last 3 years. They've been working on that. So this visit was done in conjunction with COA, which is the accrediting organization for nurse anesthesia programs. And so Kenyatta is a new director there since our last visit, and I will let them introduce themselves and go from there.
Good morning, Kenyatta. Jerry, do we have both of you?
Hi,
Yeah.
good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. If you want to introduce yourselves.
Sure, I'm Kenyatta Brent. I'm the program administrator for the DNAP program at Newman University.
I'm Jerry Tyrell. I'm the Associate Vice President of Academic Affairs, but also serve as Dean of Healthcare Professions, specifically for the nurse anesthesia program.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining this morning. Anything you would like to tell us about your DNAP program?
Nothing currently. We have made the official switch. We are completely doctoral. Our last master's class graduated in August of 23, so we did not have a class of 24. Our first class for the DNAP program graduated May of 2025. Our first time pass rate, 94.7%. 100% have since passed within 2 weeks of graduation of that final, and 100% are working, doing well. We've received evaluations back that are glowing, which we're quite proud of our first class. And that's it. We have 3 cohorts currently. So our class of 26, 27, and 28. And we've admitted the class of 29 who will be starting in May. We've seen record number increase in our applications, and we're quite proud of what we're doing right now. So,
Wonderful. Any questions from the committee?
Madam Chair, I move to accept the reapproval site visit report for Newman University DNAP program with recommendations to address all non-compliance standards and substandards for COA and to recommend reapproval of the DNAP program for a time period consistent with national COA accreditation.
Thank you, Ruth.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
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 Opposed, no. Abstentions. Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank
awesome.
you for being here.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. We appreciate it.
Okay. We are moving down to Labette Community College. I didn't. I was saying.
I was ahead of the game.
How is this?
Yeah, I know.
Good morning, Dee. Thank you for joining us. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, absolutely. My name is Dee Bonenblest, and I'm the director of Labette Community College nursing program. We're bi-level. The site visit was specifically for the PN level. We can never get this thing where we can do all three at the same time. That's part of the game. So, but yeah, I'd like to certainly thank the board, but particularly the committee for just the consistency and the structure of the process. It's a good process, very, very challenging, as all of us in here can attest to. But it's a really good process, I think, for faculty and I think students. Students shared that there was a really interesting and learning process.
Wonderful. We appreciate that.
I'm sorry.
I'd like to hear more about that.
Okay, I'll be happy to share.
Okay. Feedback is always good.
Yeah, that was very positive. They were very positive.
Good.
And the recommendations are on page 83 of education. Any questions for Dee?
The recommendation.
Yeah, I should say the recommendation. Thankful.
And I'll look at it.
I move to accept the reapproval site visit report for Labette Community College with full approval for level 1 PN of the LCC Associate Degree Nursing Program for 5 years.
Thank you, Patty.
A second.
Thanks, Angela. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Abstentions. Motion carries. Thank you,
Thank
Dee.
you. Yes, but I want to say one more thing. The board was able to host also, Ms. Cole, Dr.
Robin.
Robin, thank you. I couldn't think of the first name. And a very, very, very good experience for, I think, the process. She responded with a very, very nice thank you to the program. And then again, I think it was a really wonderful experience for her too. So I love the idea of we're starting to collaborate with other states.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Robin Folt is a mentee of mine through NCSBN as a education compliance person. She's had a role for a couple of years, but they have fewer numbers of programs, so she's done no site visits. So she was able to, and we'll be attending one in the spring as well. Gotten permission to do that, and I've now also had a request from another state to host a site visitor along with what we're doing. So I think that speaks well for what we're doing, hopefully our process and what people are learning from that. And I also learn from them, just the opportunity to do that. Thank you for that. Say that.
No, thank you for doing that because we all know as educators, that is a little extra work for you, but it does speak highly of our board and what other states see on our board. So thank you for doing that. Okay, next we have Donley College site visit report.
So I think everybody sees them. Do you guys have anybody who are joining us online? Are you here?
No,
Okay.
I'm aware
And
of.
you can sit along this side also.
It's fine.
Yes. Thank you for joining us this morning. If you'd like to take a moment to introduce yourself.
I'm Laura Sampson. I took over as interim DON on 11/14, so.
I'm Nicole Ponto. I'm the simulation coordinator and assisting with scheduling clinicals in this fall.
I'm Maravilla, Dean of the college.
Monsignor Stuart Swetland, president.
Morning. Would you like to explain a little bit about your program and the recommendations? Oh, yes, I did. I'm sorry. I did need to make an announcement during this report. Patty Palmietti will not be asking any questions during the discussion or voting. She will be abstaining from that. Just as an FYI.
Okay, so you guys did a site visit in October, I believe. And so we did have a lot of recommendations from that. I don't know, I sent a little outline, I guess, of what I've been working on in the last few weeks since I've taken over. And obviously, not a whole lot is complete as far as what was on the recommendations, but I feel like I've definitely got the ball rolling on a lot of things in the last few weeks, focusing on faculty education, our simulation lab. Right now, it's not really functional, so just working a lot on that, getting supplies ordered. We're getting a new mannequin in place. We have a
grant that I've confirmed, is in place for us to purchase the maternal simulation. My understanding is that there's 3 other ones that are in working order. So for the spring semester, we have already lined out, clinical sites. We have instructors, we have the students assigned to where they're going. Nick has done an outstanding job with that. We'll be notifying students, probably within the next week or 2 of their clinical site, so they'll have that ahead of time. We also have, instructors already in place for our didactic, classes that we're doing. And the students are getting enrolled in that. We just finished finals on Friday. And so we're still kind of reviewing exactly who can proceed in the program and who's gonna need to retake classes, those kind of things. But we have everything lined out, as far as that goes. As far as simulation, we will not probably need to use it, for clinical replacement this semester. And there's a lot of work that has to be done in that simulation lab. We will use it for, I guess, adjunct teaching, instruction, but not for clinical replacement. At this point, we have all of our clinical sites confirmed, and we even have like a buffer. So if someone should miss, or the weather, and then we've already planned that out in advance. So that's kind of where we're at with our simulation and our clinical situation.
Also, I'm gonna interrupt you. I'm also planning to go to Sarasota, Florida, to the Elevate healthcare base and do a training there. It's a 5 or 4-day training to be able to do simulations properly. So that'll also be boned up.
And then we are also going to, for this following semester in the spring of 26, we will only have a PN program still in place. But we will be searching out for a MSN educated person to do our simulation coordinator position, to be prepared for the fall, when hopefully we will be allowed to admit again. What else have I been doing? Staff education, that's been a big piece that I feel like was really lacking, orientation and just general education on nursing education. So we did, we're working on signing up for Nurse Tim. And I've already registered, my didactic full-time staff in the new, new orientation program through Nurse Tim. And so we'll be working on that in March is when they're offering that again. And I've already started some orientation. I did a PowerPoint for the nurse faculty handbook and lined that out and had them do quizzes for that. And then new orientation the first week of, I'm basically orientating all the staff again. And it's mandatory, and in January, when we return that, before the students return, we'll be doing that. What else can I tell you? Oh, the nursing program evaluation plan. So I have already enrolled and will hopefully be starting that this week, education online for me to make sure that I know how to properly do that. And then we will be working on that. I think I told you guys I would have it done by March 31st. I kind of put March 31st as a date. I was trying to be realistic with what I need to do because there's a lot to do. So I kind of line that out mainly for March 31st. What I'm hoping from you guys is that we can get a site visit in April. Because I feel like we will be prepared in April. And then hopefully then we can go ahead and be approved for admissions again. Is there anything else you want me to go over from this report that I sent out? All of our staff, for the most part, are returning for the spring semester. I can say that I feel like I have a strong team wrapped around me, and we're all dedicated to what we need to do. And so moving forward, I feel like, I mean, I've always told people I'm only as good as my team as far as my leadership roles in the past. So I feel like we really do have a good, strong team. We communicate well with each other. We're getting things rolling. We're having meetings. And so I just wanted to add that in. There were a few that left us, but they needed to leave us. So,
And we have hired one new clinical instructor. She's in the process of being hired. She has education experience and she has, a lot of experience as an RN. So she'll be doing clinicals with us.
I also have a mentor.
Okay, that was a
Yeah.
question.
That was one of the first things I did, was reached out for a mentor. We have spoken a few times and she's coming to the school on December 17th, to look through and walk through things with me. So I look forward to that visit for sure.
Who is serving as your mentor?
Who is it?
Yeah.
Christine, I never say her last name.
Russell.
Russell from Johnson
Yeah.
County,
Okay.
yes.
Wonderful. Yes, I'm very happy to hear that. That was
Me
one
too.
question I had to ask, is if you had a consultant or a mentor to help you.
Yes, I'm very thankful for her and she was so willing to help.
My question, I think, is probably for Janelle. Have you had any further student complaints recently?
We did have, at the time of the visit, there were some things going on, and I think probably one of the things Laura has alluded to is there was. So yes, the answer, the simple answer is yes, there were some complaints. A couple of them were related to faculty and clinical coordination, which it sounds like that's changed as well.
Yes.
So the biggest complaints were, there were a couple of faculty people that were issues. There were clinical scheduling was huge in all three cohorts that we talked with, because we talked to each cohort separately, just because we knew there could be issues. They have two cohorts graduating in December, a PN group and their last RN group as of right now.
Yes.
So they'll have day evening classes for PN that will have one more semester yet. So, and then there were still just some continuing complaints about related to policy. And one of those was the follow-up for how an appeal was handled. And I'm trying to think, there was one other. Anyway.
The progression
yeah.
policy.
Right.
And that one is, it has been drafted and faculty will be voting on it in the upcoming meeting.
So since we left,
Yes.
Donnelly, there have been no complaints.
Just one, and it's a continued complaint from it. The student feels like it's still not resolved. So.
I feel like the key is communication was lacking. So I think that's an important piece, both communication with faculty and with students going forward. Will probably resolve a lot of complaints that we may have. Also, I think availability, I mean, I'm very much available. So I think that may be helpful as well.
Yeah, next semester, Laura won't be teaching any clinicals, unlike Lauren had to, for the fall semester. She'll be available just for her role as the DON.
So no didactic classes.
No. So I'm just gonna focus on this.
I think that's a good plan.
Yes.
Yes, and in looking at the 2025 complaint log, there were 23. We do need to make a note that there is a report dated on page 3 of that from 10/13. It says 2024, that should be 2025. So that made for a total of 23 complaints that Janelle received in this year so far. 23 complaints, and 20 of the 23 were for Dawn. So that is a substantial number of complaints specifically to one program. So, and I know many are topics that we're addressing here in the recommendations and that you plan to address in 2026, and you're already addressed. So we hope that number will see a drastic decrease moving forward.
Yes.
I have a couple questions also, unless you want to follow up on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so, if the numbers I have are incorrect, just tell me, because there's a lot of material and we've been reading material for quite some time, so, 31 PN programs were set to graduate, or students were set to graduate this December, correct? For the PN programs. Do you know if finals were last week, how many passed and graduated?
I know of at least, we're still like wrapping that up, but I know of at least a couple of students that aren't going to graduate.
I believe the number's less than 5.
5 robust, okay. And then 14 ADN students were set to graduate this December. Do you know about how many passed or?
All 14 of those are graduating, yes.
Okay.
And there's a progression plan set up for the PN students who are not progressing or not graduating.
Yeah, they're working with Charity, who is the academic advisor. And so we have been in the already starting to contact each other regarding their plan moving forward. Part of the issue right now is that for the ones that didn't pass their classes this semester, is that we're not offering them in the spring. And so at this point today, as we speak, it's up in the air as far as where we're at for the fall. I believe it is our responsibility to continue on with them getting their classes done. So we just need to work it out as a team as far as how we're gonna get that done. I mean, for example, we have one student this next semester that's taking pharmacology again, and so we do have an instructor that's going to instruct that student directly. So I mean, that's just an example of how we're working to get them through the program.
Moving forward, and we did have this question, more of a question for you is, we do have students who, at this point, with the classes that they failed, they will have failed 2 classes, and that calls for them to step out a year. And so that's, I think, the other piece of the students that will have to figure out that, they might not need the class on the fall because they will, on the spring, sorry, because they will need to, per policy, they cannot continue right now. And then, something that was unclear in the handbook that now has been cleared is, yes, they will have to reapply to the program if they are asked to step out for a year. Now, if a student only, is the first time failing a class, then those we will be, doing, even some of the full-time faculty, which they are under load, will be teaching those classes.
Can I ask about, for the students who graduated, what's the status of their preparation for the NCLEX?
So we started using ATI this semester, and so for the RN cohort, they actually predicted that they have a high probability of successfully doing the NCLEX. My PN program, not so much. It is a concern where they were, they were at a basic level of proficiency. And so we have plans in place to have them do some more ATI preparation. I am gonna take the Proctor training so that I can assist with that. And Tiara, who's been doing our concept synthesis class, has already reached out to students. Unfortunately, we can't force them because it's not in our policy to force them. But we're highly recommending that they do some follow-up with us going forward before they take NCLEX. So we did get that sent out, and hopefully our students will take advantage of that ATI, that we can work with them. That is another thing I'm gonna be working on, though, is more of a policy regarding ATI and its usage. The other thing that I've done is I reached out to ATI. I had a meeting with them on Friday, I believe, of last week, to get all of our staff more training for ATI. And so that is going to be happening starting in January.
So,
Because I think we can utilize ATI a little bit more throughout our program, which will help with the outcomes for our students in the end.
so with the ATI, are you offering them virtual ATI or a live review to help with that in class?
They were required to do a 2-day live review. They just did that a couple of weekends ago. So yes, they are doing that as well as some other components of the ATI. So I'm working very closely with Tiara, who is kind of our ATI expert at this point in time. To just utilize ATI as much as we can, so.
And we're gonna be doing some ATI like remediation and things like that as well.
I will add, though, that it was a concern, but and also in the visit, that besides continuing the use of ATI, we heard the students, they wanted to have textbooks along in the classes besides the ATI. And so the college is providing textbooks for all the classes for the spring, and that is at no cost to the students. So they're just gonna receive the textbooks.
I've had a concern all along about the qualifications of your faculty, not as nurses, but as educators. And would you address what is currently available to faculty to strengthen their understanding of how to deliver curriculum? Because it's one thing to know it, it's another thing to understand how to deliver. ATI is good, but you have to have qualified faculty by virtue of enough experience and enough training that they actually not only know how to use the ATI, but to manage the curriculum and the textbooks. So would you please address that?
So as I said earlier, we are all going to take the nurse educator orientation class through Nurse Tim as a starting point, and then just doing Nurse Tim has a huge variety of things that we can do. And so my plan is to assign, do the orientation, but also utilize Nurse Tim by assigning modules for them to do to help them get up to speed, because I do agree that I think my nursing staff is very knowledgeable, but having that extra education regarding the delivery of that knowledge so that students can understand it is what I'm planning on doing.
Will that cover a lot of different areas to include understanding how to progress content in terms of complexity?
I believe it will.
How to administer tests, how to evaluate testing. I mean, there's just so many areas that educators have to know to really be competent. And this has clearly been a deficiency all along in my view.
The other thing is I've reached out to ExamSoft because I didn't feel like we were really utilizing the program that we have available to us regarding exam analysis. And so I reached out to them as well last week to get set up with some training through them that will help us with the exam analysis portion of it. And actually, there's also just information on how to write exams, how to use Blooms. All of those things are available for training that we can work on. And so I recognize that training is a big portion of what we need to work on, which is why I am moving forward, more looking towards the fall of 26 and using this spring semester for getting things up and running, faculty training, orientation, the simulation lab, making sure our clinicals are in order. All of those things that has been just very unorganized over the last probably, year and a half. I've only been with Donnelly since August, so I don't know all of the history of what has happened, but I did recognize pretty much immediately that it was unorganized. And so
it appears that there's been an effort to use some appropriate resources. The concern is the depth of experience of your faculty. So who do you have? How many do you have in your faculty, including the two of you, that have more than a year of higher education, nursing, teaching experience?
Megan Kelly, she is
But
the one.
she's just teaching one course, correct?
Actually, she won't be teaching any courses, in the actual nursing program this next semester, but she's very much involved in the nursing program.
Is she a
And she,
mentor or
huh?
is she a mentor? I'm just
I
from
mean,
reading everything, I'm wondering.
she's definitely mentoring me,
Okay.
to a large extent, yes. And all I can tell you is, yes, we need a lot of, education, and all I can do is start moving that forward. As far as that goes, I mean, I feel like in any position, you have to start somewhere. And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of experienced in education staff at this point. But Megan is a big resource for us. And she also is really good with ExamSoft, which was definitely helpful for me. Starting out, and so she'll continue to be a resource with helping us all be educated. And just relying on some of these programs. I mean, there's a lot of educational programs for nurse educators out there that we can rely on. And a lot of them we already use to an extent for our program, like ExamSoft. Even Canvas has some education programs, and then now Nurse Tim, and I reached out to, was it NLN? So what it is, for my own education on doing the evaluation. And so I am researching a lot of education. I'm actually sending, Nick not only to Florida, but also to other schools around us to just observe the simulation labs. I personally went to observe a simulation lab and realized, yeah, we're not up to par on that at all. And so I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say that our program is doing what it's supposed to be doing today. But I can tell you that I've laid out quite a 5-page outline here on what needs to do, and I'm a person that does it. And when I sent this packet, I included some examples of what I've done, just to prove that I'm not just blowing smoke around here. And I'm actually gonna follow up and do this stuff, and I know that's been a problem over the last year.
We also have a clinical faculty academy that all of the clinical staff are required to attend.
Are all of your clinical faculty are going to Clinical Faculty Academy?
Yes.
Correct.
And is that offered in January?
Yes.
Is that the
There are,
Nazarene College?
there are a couple that have to do the December one, so in a couple weeks. Because they can't make it to the one in January. But all of our clinical faculty will have gone through the clinical faculty academy by then. Start.
And sorry to perseverate, but my question is not fully answered in terms of what's available there for just that scheduled training of your faculty that don't have the sufficiency of background in higher nursing education. So Megan, is she offering any classes? How are your new faculty being mentored when you just have so many new faculty? And you just have Megan, it sounds like she's just offering to help you, even though she's adjunct, correct? She's adjunct or?
No, she's full-time.
No, I can kind of better refer to, so currently, of all the teachers teaching didactic, Tiara and Megan have more than a year of experience teaching in higher ed. So Tiara is the other person that we do have. We do have Christine, Michael Shalinsky, and I'm forgetting someone else. Christine, Michael Shalinsky, oh, well, and then Laura and Nicole, but both of them are not teaching any clinical. So basically it's two. One of them is we are going to do a formal training on everything in terms of higher ed, and I'm gonna participate with them, just not nursing, but higher ed. We're gonna initiate, that's why they're gonna take a whole course on new faculty educators through Nurse Tim, and that would be in March. We also have signed them up for a subscription for the whole department because Nurse Tim also has some webinars that are available and you can get a license for the whole department. So that is already paid for and they will start.
So that's scheduled instruction.
Yes,
That's what I was
that is,
asking.
yes.
Yeah.
Scheduled, structured, ongoing.
Yes.
Oversight by someone that
Correct.
knows, okay.
And this is not concreted, so I wouldn't put it as, but we are talking to someone who retired from William Jewell that was the curriculum chair at William Jewell, that will provide the support for that program and the exam analysis, the exam soft analysis of those, in recognition that not being my forte nursing, like I cannot provide that guidance or anybody else. And so we can, kind of guide on how to get it and put the data together, but really someone experienced. And so that would be another part. Johnson County Community College, I just, public want to say thank you because she is going out of her way, giving a whole day, sitting down with them, orienting them on how to start what needs to be done. So I think that the support that the team is receiving is very good. Megan Kelly, while she's not teaching in the nursing program, she will be teaching psychology classes, introduction to psychology, and some of the prereqs. So she is on campus, she is available for anybody who has questions. She's always reachable. So, again, she's another resource that will. So she's not full-time right now as a nursing faculty, but she is full-time as a Donnelly College faculty.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to add that, our community advisory committee, we plan on doing that meeting in February, so we are getting that up and rolling, and we've already reached out to some people that are going to join us, so I think that'll be helpful.
Yes. And Laura, because when we got the report, Lauren's information was entered, so her background, can you tell us, or Janelle, have you received Laura's educational experience background to be reported for us, so we know you're prepared for this role?
You want to go ahead and address that?
My background as far as like my nursing background. or
Well,
just
your
education?
academic preparation to take on a leadership role in nursing education.
So, yes, I have a degree from Washburn for my BSN, and then I just completed my MSN with the education track from St. Mary's.
And experience teaching.
I did clinicals at Johnson County Community College. I was a clinical instructor for them. And then, of course, my practicum experience, which I did at Washburn.
Plus Laura's also had experience in higher management positions that also assists in her role, I think.
I was the director of nursing for 10 years in long-term care, so I'm very much used to leadership. I also was a regional nurse in Missouri. I only did that for about 6 months. I resigned from that due to a personal death in my family, so that's why I resigned from that. But so yes, I have a lot of leadership experience. I'm definitely used to surveyors coming into my building, giving me deficiencies, and then having to do plans of corrections and working those out. So quite frankly, I was pretty good at it. So
There's also significant training within the state of Kansas, like in the fall, Johnson County has a robust simulation training.
I am in the process of getting enrolled for that as well.
Okay.
I'm in talks with Johnson County about that.
Okay, yes, they have, it was 1 or 2 days this fall. That is a great one that you don't have to travel far. In the summer, there's the Clinical Nurse Educator Conference out in Wichita. That is another one to get back new faculty, especially your clinical faculty. That is a great opportunity. The ATI Summit, with you guys adding ATI, that would be another good recommendation. I think you'll find that your other deans, directors, chairs in Kansas will also help mentor and make suggestions, because we know what has worked for faculty for training to help you. So don't be afraid to reach out. Because I think there's a lot of opportunities within the state of Kansas, and then great training outside. There's a lot, so picking and choosing the best options would be good. But I know the summer one and the Johnson County, those are 2 great opportunities for your faculty and staff to attend.
so
Just
the Wichita one, what was the name of that?
Clinical Nurse Educator Conference. It will come out.
It'll be July 15th and 16th.
Exactly. On that,
Perfect.
we usually hear about it in January, and it's in Wichita for the 2 days, and it's If you can get all of your faculty to even go with the amount of new faculty, I would highly encourage that. It would be great. And just again, to network with your other nurse educators in Kansas. That is a great opportunity.
I appreciate that.
I had a little question because and this is probably my confusion. It might be easier explained if you just talk through it. How many full-time faculty do you have and how is that determined? Because I see some are teaching anywhere from 2 to 12 credit hours, but they're listed as full-time.
So we have Tiara. RTs, who's full-time, myself. Megan Kelly's not in the nursing department for this semester, and then we have Nicole. Ponto.
Hi.
Who is full-time, Christine. Nigel, I don't know if I even said her last name right. Thank you. So she is full-time. I think that she is not currently, she'll be doing some clinical as well as didactic this coming up semester. So that may look confusing on there. And then we have, so that's our full-time staff, and then we have our adjuncts clinicals. Kathleen Williams is one that, she's going to be full-time. She's clinical. She'll be doing that. But, in anticipation of, her hopefully moving to didactic, I'm going to have her do some work, with Tiara in the concept synthesis, class. Just to do some training as a didactic instructor, and so she'll be participating in that, all the training for that, just to get, I'm just kind of being proactive, I guess. And she was interested and is MSN educated, so I decided to jump on that and go ahead and get her going.
Okay, so can you tell me credit hour wise with both combination of clinical and didactic, what is considered full-time?
We're gonna keep people full-time, but we don't have all the classes for them to teach as we tool up, so there'll be a lot of training time for our faculty, and I made that commitment, we've made that in the budget to keep people full-time, even though because we've been on a probation, we don't have a conditional approval, we don't have new classes.
Okay.
And that'll be through the summer and all that.
So approximately it's between 8 to 12, 8 to 12. So I can say, Tiara, for example, is 8, but she's the one, leading us in ATI. Megan Kelly is not teaching in our nursing, but she will be participating in other activities. Christine is the one that, currently will be at 11, which is the highest, and that includes the 3 credit hours for the clinical instruction. And then the other person we have, Michael Shalinsky, is a 5 credits, but he is just an adjunct. He's not full-time. And so, but as Monsignor explained, the expectation is that those credits that are missing is the time that they will be investing both in their own education and in the processes within the department that needs to be addressed. So there's many things that they need to sit down, go over policies, review and revamp the admissions policy as well, all the procedure rubrics that are needed, so that will allow enough time. Also, the consultants that are, that's why we're ensuring consultants as well, is so that they can come in and the teachers have that ability of having the time to sit down and go over that.
Do we have a schedule of a weekly class schedule? Is that in here? Where you have it scheduled out Monday through Friday, who's teaching what?
Yes.
What their FTE, if it's a 0.6, a 0.5, whatever, so we can kind of ensure that it's being covered, because my understanding is that neither one of you will be teaching didactic. It sounds like clinical, you've made some progress with getting those holes plugged. That was a huge concern last time. But it's the didactic going forward so that I can be assured.
I did send, with my outline, a copy of our class,
Your outline
the
was
schedule.
came only to me, it was
Oh,
because we
I can
distributed
certainly-
them after the board packet.
I mean, I can pass this around if you guys want to look at it. It's
Sure.
up to you.
Here, I can hand it to her.
Yeah, I would like to see that.
Because everything is
covering
covered.
didactic.
It's covered.
Okay, and you will not have any new faculty joining in January, because
No.
one major complaint that we heard from the students were with, as new people came on, the syllabi they had were changed, and then they had a whole new schedule or new expectations, and we just need to ensure for the students that there's some consistency and of the expectations, and that new faculty understand they cannot change things like that once they're given to students.
So as far as the syllabus, I have already requested that they work on their syllabus, that they send it to me. I've already gotten 2 back so far. And so I'm going to make sure I review those, and we're gonna have those on Canvas before classes start.
Okay.
Because I do know there was a lot of confusion with that.
Okay, I think there was this concern with students that there was a handbook of the week for a while, or the handbook of the director that was confusing to them to know what the overall rules
No.
were.
And we had a once in a lifetime, you know, devastation of a department. We had a director of nursing who had a catastrophic ailment, husband and wife team that left, another very experienced teacher that was recruited away to be director of nursing elsewhere. It all happened all at once. That's, you know, that's that 1 in 1,000-year storm, you know, that's what we had. That's, and I, you know, obviously it was not planned or timed or wanted, but it didn't happen in the middle of the year. So we are recovering from that. I think we're starting that. You know, it's the J curve effect. It gets worse before it gets better, but we're on the way up.
We also will be having a more extensive application process for new staff and new faculty coming on. When we do admit new students, we're gonna have a more thorough application process so that we can maintain people who have education experience and things like that in the future.
And I think also the beginning of this semester, we planned out a much more extensive orientation for students. That's going to include skills, checkoffs and refreshers, as well as a presentation of going over the expectations, so.
And going over Canvas, how to use it, going over Empower, how to read your grades, and keep up with your grades. ATI, how to use it. Yeah.
Do you know about how many PN students you'll have in January?
I was thinking that, like I said, we're still working through, but I'm thinking that there'll be about 33 that are continuing in January.
ABN, no, ABN, they're all
graduating.
graduating.
Yeah, right now it depends on the final grades. So the count that would have progressed before final grades was 37. As we get final grades, there might be some students that this semester will need to take a class, but it will be in the 30s.
Actually, you have one RN student who won't graduate.
Huh?
You have one RN student who won't graduate.
Oh, yes, we have the one that's gonna have to retake the pharmacology class that she's taking this semester. Or spring semester. Yeah.
Okay. So just one last question for me. When we were there, your students were not reluctant to tell us what their opinions were. So I'm assuming that has not changed. What is your take on the student satisfaction? Or have they noticed that there is an increase in interest in their well-being, I guess would be the best way to say that.
I definitely think that the students that have spoken with me, I taught 3 classes. I ended up teaching 3 classes. So I had both sections of the PN class, as well as the RN class, and the responses that I'm getting is they feel like it's generally getting better, especially the communication piece of it, and they feel like it's getting more organized. They're definitely not afraid to come and talk to me. For sure, I'm definitely a very approachable person, and so they feel comfortable coming to me. And I do know that, you know, you always have those students that specifically look for a specific person. So I do know for a fact that there's people coming to Nicole, especially, you know, voicing concerns or just so forth. I did receive a great email personally from a student yesterday, just thanking me for all that I did to help them understand the material, and it was just really nice to get something positive, I guess, from students. So I feel like we're moving in a positive direction.
Also, a lot of the students have already been notified that they will get an email shortly with their clinical schedule, and they all stated a lot of relief from that as well. That they'll know their schedule before the semester even starts.
I think that, again, it's communication and being more organized. I mean, of course, like we all have lives outside of school. And so the frustration for students was the constant changes that were occurring. And so that's what we're really trying to avoid, and being proactive and being ready for the semester rather than being, too weeks behind. So.
Yes, and I assume you have index course evaluations, so you probably will be
Yeah.
looking over those from your fall courses.
Yes, I was just wondering this morning when they'll come out.
Yes.
So those are finalized, those are released once the final grades are into our student information system. So since the grades were in yesterday, they should be in process as we speak.
And just one thing for the committee to know, we did receive your updated, NCSBN, your PN pass rate through 11/30 of 2025 is 60.87, and your RN is 65.38 for 2020. So if you've had any testers during that third quarter, they would be on that report in the start of the fourth quarter. And then it'll be spring before we'll have your final results for 2025, but those are below the 80% threshold that's required by KSBN.
Which is what we are hoping with ATI will help with that. And also like I said, the remediation of ATI with the students that on the previous thirds didn't do so well, so.
It's gonna take time to move
It will
that.
take time.
And with small cohorts, we also know it doesn't take as many to get below 80%.
I would also like to, ask if there would be a possibility if we would be able to admit a small cohort of 15, just so we can continue to show our progress. Cause I feel that when this PN class graduates in May, that we won't have anybody until fall or after, to show our progress. So I think on behalf of all of us, we would like to request a small group of 15 students, 1-day cohort. If that would be possible. For
PN,
For PN.
and when are you requesting this, at the start?
Either January or August, I'm sorry.
In August. So. If we don't admit for this spring semester. In August, so what I'm requesting is that we have a site visit in April. April, first week of May, somewhere in there, early enough that we can have everything. Back and resolved before the next, the summer meeting with you all here. And then at that time, I'm likely going to request that we have both the PN and RN cohorts admitted in the fall. I feel like we're gonna be ready then. As far as that goes.
So I think that will be a determination by the committee and then
Right.
by the board. There's 12 recommendations that are pretty substantive recommendations that came from the site visit. Many of these are ongoing recommendations that we have been giving to you guys at our quarterly meeting. And out of the 12, one is met, 2 I could give you maybe partially met, but 9 are not met at all. And we know it's going to take time. Your site visit was not that long ago, but it is gonna take time to reconcile these recommendations. So I'm just one person of the committee. I don't know the feelings of the other committee members. And Debbie, I'm not sure if you had any questions.
I do. This was a very difficult site visit. Faculty was enthusiastic. They want to do well. This program serves a certain niche of students, which is much needed. And so, there a lot of I think a lot of emotion from the college side, which we would expect. But my concerns, I go back to some of the things Ruth said. There's no experienced faculty to mentor faculty, and you can use ATI, you can use Nurse Tim, but if there's no one there that understands those concepts and principles and can support and mentor the faculty in that nursing process with those, having them do the Nurse Tim and the ATI is not going to be that beneficial. I'm very concerned about the students who we saw in simulation and some of those things, how prepared they are for the NCLEX. And I'm not sure that the live review does all of that. Having, done live reviews with our students and looking at what's going on in higher education and with the other schools of nursing, there's just not mentoring. And it sounds like you guys have accomplished a lot of things since the site visit. However, I'm really, really concerned that you can develop your staff and meet those recommendations and get your program aligned the way it should be while you're trying to teach students. And is that really fair to the students to do that? So I'm just really, really concerned about, even at one point, I will tell you honestly, I thought maybe the best path was for Donnelly just to close, revamp, reorganize, get some training done, spend some real concentrated effort on that, and then ask to be, reapproved and move from there. And I know financially that's devastating to an institution, but I just really don't feel comfortable that you don't have the type of mentoring for your faculty and the education background for your faculty that will help you and your students be successful. And I know that's just my opinion, and I know you have some really serious recommendations to deal with, but I just have to say that I'm really, really concerned about your ability to clean up all of the recommendations and get yourself aligned while you're teaching students and while you don't have the in-house resources that you need. And I know you have people that are there just on general faculty, but that's general faculty things are important and they're good, but nursing education is a specific niche also.
Would it be, and I don't know if this is even a thing, but would it be helpful for me to reach out to some other schools and see if I can't get mentors specifically for our faculty as well, for our didactic faculty? I have a mentor, but maybe I can reach out and get a mentor for the faculty as they're going through the training this spring.
I think it would be helpful. I think any effort you make will be very helpful.
Well, I will get on that.
And I think it would depend on how structured and consistent that would be.
Yeah.
Because we know those can be loose agreements or they can be really tight and require some real accountability to.
I will, I'll start interviewing for that to happen for my faculty, so they'll have some mentoring as well as the education that we're providing for them going forward. And I was specifically MSN, specifically in education track, so I do have a lot of knowledge regarding that. Not an expert by any means in that area, but I feel like I could put together some training on site personally myself, going forward as well to adjunct the other trainings that we're doing. So,
looking through my notes, I'm sorry, I was making sure that I addressed all my questions and the committee's questions. Any additional questions?
It's not a question. I think at this point, I would like to accept the site visit report for them to continue conditional approval for both programs, no admissions until a site visit has been relayed and the board has met. You've got some amazing, amazing things in process, and you need an opportunity to do that. And bringing some student in right now in the middle of it is, I don't think would be fair to the student. Taking this semester to, for want of a better word, get your act together so that everybody's on the same sheet of dialogue, then I would love to visit again and see what the status is, but I don't think I could recommend admissions prior to that.
No, I couldn't either, but I do support a recommendation to continue on a conditional approval until the board is satisfied with corrections that have been made and has a chance to do another site visit.
I agree with that.
I think I made the motion.
Also a motion to continue conditional approval, no new admissions, and accept the site visit. Okay, so we have a motion from Karen. A second. And a second. Any discussion? Okay, we will vote. All in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? No. Abstention? Patty. Okay, so the motion carries. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for taking so much time with us.
Yeah.
I will follow.
We do appreciate your efforts and we do.
Laura,
Laura, sorry. We do appreciate your efforts and your recognition of what needs to happen. And if you look back historically, we have programs who have turned things around. And I think with the right mentors, the right training, it is possible. So please don't go away completely devastated. We're recognizing you're going to take the spring and there's a mountain to climb. As you said, it's a 1,000-year storm and there's a lot of work in it. Sounds like you're willing to take that on. And please reach out to your friends in Kansas. We are here to help you. And we need every nursing program that's in Kansas to have successful outcomes because every one of those nurses is needed for workforce in the state of Kansas. So, and I've been at one of your site visits. I also recognize you take extremely high risk students.
Yes.
So getting them into the nursing profession is admirable. And please look at this as an opportunity.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Yes, thank you so much. You're welcome. Okay, I know we've been going for an hour and 15. We have two more site visits, two more.
And we fill one more.
Is not.
It's just.
Really, so do we wanna, does the committee wanna continue with the two site visits?
Right.
Before we
Yeah.
take a break?
Right.
Okay, so next up is WSU Tech. Deshawn, is she online?
They're moving over.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Okay, I'm gonna get a few papers reorganized here to move on what page, 118, okay. So perfect timing to take a minute. Okay, Deshawn. Can I see her there?
There she is.
Yes, thank you for joining us. If you'd like to take a minute to introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Deshawn Willingham. I am the Dean of Nursing at WSU Tech. Well, the Dean of Nursing and Mental Health Programs at WSU Tech.
Thank you. Yes, now has a quick announcement.
Well, that this was an initial site visit for an LMHT program, so not nursing, but LMHT, and I know we've had some discussions about that, so wanted you to know that this was the initial, and Ruth and I did that visit. And so, yeah, I just wanted to make it where it's not a nurse, any of their nursing programs, but the LMHT program. So, anything you want to say about that, Deshawn?
Yeah, we have a very supportive community and community partners for our LMHT program. We are across the street from Via Christi St. Joseph. And they are looking at ways to reintegrate the LMHT position back into their system. We also have a new senior behavioral health hospital out west, Patera, where our students have completed their first semester clinicals. And then working with our partners here at ComCare to figure out how we can integrate the LMHT into their crisis center. So we have a lot of support here with and a lot of interest. I'm sure Debbie Pyle can also attest to this for the LMHTs in the Wichita area.
Okay, any questions from the committees for Deshawn or for Debbie? And the recommendations are on page 125 of the packet.
I move to accept the WSU Tech LMHT initial site report with recommendation to submit updated readmission policy and clarify the progression policy to KSBN by 3/31/26 and recommend initial approval for the LMHT program at WSU Tech with follow-up visit to be done in spring of 2027.
Second. Thanks, Ruth. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Abstentions?
It's Debbie.
Oh, Debbie's. Yes, she's must abstain. Did she?
Debbie's still muted.
I voted yes.
Yeah, she's WSU.
Okay, so yes, okay, thank you. Okay, that's good. Okay, so the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Deshawn. Okay, and next we have a request from Fort Scott Community College. They actually did not have a site visit. They're scheduled for the spring for their site visit. I have some updates.
Nope, don't have that.
Don't have that.
You're gonna have to do that verbally.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Tell us who you are and what your request is.
You just want the request, you don't want the updates or anything, or?
Introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You could, yeah.
I'm Dinka Later from Fort Scott Community College.
Okay. And could you explain your request for us today?
Okay, we did have a postponement on our survey. It'll be in February, so I would like to request an extension of, our current, we are in conditional status, so I would, like to request an extension of for the fall 2026. To admit the same number as before.
Which was 20.
Which was 20, yes.
And when do your applications usually go live?
Well, we start taking applications if we were able to in January, but May 1st is the date.
Okay.
So even though they are unconditional, can they accept the applications without talking to the students?
What was delivered at the last is that they are unconditional. They are not currently admitting regularly. They did admit a class, but they can accept an application if a student wants to submit it, but they can't take any action on it under conditional approval unless the board approves them to admit a cohort. But so there shouldn't be anything, they can accept them, but no action on them.
When do you normally send out acceptance letters if you accept applications through May 1st?
We will review after May 1st.
Okay.
And then by May 15th, we would like to send out. That would give us faculty time to review.
Okay. And we'll have our site visit in February.
The site visit was postponed due to a scheduling conflict on both, it was created from both sides. So that report would not have come to the board in December anyway. It would have been March. Because of the timing, it was late. So a site visit in February, we'll still put the site visit report to the board at the March meeting. That's just for information for you.
We would make a decision in March, and if approved at the March meeting, you would be able to accept in May. So I think what we're saying is you can go ahead and put your application up as normal. accept applications through the spring. We'll do the site visit in February. And pending the recommendation from that site visit, you would be able, if we approve and take you off conditional status, or if we approve you on continued conditional, you would have a recommendation by March of what you could do in May.
Okay, that sounds wonderful, and I can still administer the TEAS test and everything, the whole
Everything that
process.
would be part of your application, you just can't give students a final, acceptance or denial.
And you would need to let them know that you're doing all of this contingent upon
Yes.
your request in March. So
Yes,
they just
and
need
they,
to know.
yes. It
It's
is,
not a for sure.
Okay,
Okay.
yes, they do know that we're on conditional status and it is on our website.
okay, thank you, wonderful, thanks, Vicky.
Vicky.
Okay. So I believe we're gonna take a 10-minute break. It's 9:55, so we will resume with new business, major curriculum changes when we return. And I'll just go ahead and make the announcement when we return from the break. I will be stepping down as chair and Ruth will assume responsibility as chair for the first motion. Okay.
You bet.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm calling the meeting back to order. Dr. Amy Hunt, part of the presentation for Pittsburgh State University for a major curriculum change. And then after the presentation, I'll turn the meeting back over to her. Thank you. So Amy, and this is Karen. And would you please go ahead and proceed with your presentation?
Thank you. I'm gonna let Karen do this presentation. She is our BSN coordinator for the program and for our request.
So our request is a curricular change to align our courses with the AACN Essentials. We've made changes in 7 courses in credit hours, made some shifts there, renamed a course, and then reactivated a course where we took clinical hours of maternal, newborn, clinical and pediatric clinical and made it a combined course, the 2 credit hours.
Any questions from the committee regarding the major curriculum change? No. Do you have a question, Jean?
Just a quick, it said it's not changing, overall, it doesn't change hours.
Correct.
And I think at one point I found how that. Okay, I resolved that, never mind. Okay, I was having trouble making the numbers work until I got to I forgot to your curriculum, old and new curriculum to show it. So thank you.
We're ready then for a motion.
I move,
Go ahead.
I move to accept the major curriculum change request for Pittsburgh State University to adopt new program outcomes for the BSN curriculum, reviewed and updated course descriptions and outcomes to align with the essentials core competencies for professional nursing education, with credit hour changes to include the following. NURS 322 change from 3 to 2 credits, NURS 318 change from 5 to 6 credits, NURS 452 change from 4 to 3 credits, NURS 462 change from 4 to 3 credit hours, NURS 457 reactivate for 2 credit hours clinical from NURS 452 and 462. NURS 499 change from 4 to 2 credits, NURS 600 change from 2 to 3 credits, NURS 601 change name to capstone, with the upper division nursing hours unchanged at 62 credits with 58 general education and prereq courses, 120 total credits and 768 clinical hours, an increase from 720.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I will second.
I will never do that.
We're going to vote. All in favor, say yes.
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 Opposed, the same. And abstained. Yes. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will now turn the meeting back to Madam Chair.
Okay. Thank you. And our next new business is Mid-American Nazarene. If you'd like to take a moment to introduce yourself and talk about your request.
Yeah, my name is Jennifer Ferguson. I'm the Associate Dean at Mid-American Nazarene University. Our request is to align our clinical hours between our 3 tracks. So we have 3 different tracks that all end in a BSN, and they all had a different clinical hour requirement. Those tracks were all developed at different times, and the populations who went into the tracks were different, but we're not really seeing that anymore. We're seeing a younger student come into the accelerated track, older students coming into the traditional. And so we felt like it's time to just align those across all 3. With that alignment, it did change credit hours with them because we count a clinical hour, or 42 clinical hours is 1 credit hour. And so it did require that we change course numbers and then some course descriptions, mostly because we wanted to add clinical hours that were designated for mental health into our mental health course. We used to offer mental health clinicals during population, but we wanted those to run concurrently with our mental health course. And so that changed our course description a little bit too.
Any questions for Jennifer?
I move to accept the major curriculum change request from Mid-American Nazarene University to align clinical across all 3 BSN tracks with the addition of dedicated mental health clinical experiences as well as updated course numbers to accurately reflect the revised clinical hour requirements.
Angela?
Seconded. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, Karen, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
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 Opposed, no. Abstentions. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, next up is KU, an AP program.
Yes. And Colton, Carrie Arndt should be our first person on, and she'll be able to let us know if there are others that are on separately.
I just moved them over.
Okay. So there were two or three, and I wasn't sure if they're gonna be together or apart. Carrie Arndt.
Carrie. Oh, there it comes. Good morning, Carrie. Can you hear us okay?
She's on.
She might still be connecting.
Okay.
There she is.
Here we go. We're trying to get there. Okay, here we go. We should also have two other members, Paul Hurdle and Paul Bennett. My name's Carrie Arndt. I'm the interim chair and program director of the Nurse Anesthesia Education program here at KU. And Paul Bennett is our interim assistant program director, and he is transitioning his role to Paul Hurdle. That's why there's so many people involved. And this is Shelley Barenclaw. She is one of our faculty and the curriculum coordinator. I'm sorry, the simulation curriculum coordinator as well.
Okay.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for joining us. Would you like to explain your request briefly?
Yes, we are looking, the last time our curriculum was looked at was when we switched from an master's program to our doctoral program. And over the last 10 years, we keep adding more content and curriculum and activities, simulation and clinical. And over the years, none of that correlated to any of the credit hours that we are actually offering. So what we are trying to do is align the time commitment of the students to better align with what is a standard university credit hour. So we were running way behind, and even in comparison to other nurse anesthesia programs across the country. So we are proposing to increase a few of our courses in credit hours. The first one was actually our clinical anatomy course that is also taken by other disciplines in the School of Health Professions. It's physical therapy, athletic training, and for some reason, which through the university we cannot figure out why, even though it's the exact same course, they are getting, it's a 6 credit hour course for them, but only a 4 credit hour course for us, yet they are actually completing the exact same curriculum. So that was one of the ones that we are looking at. And then also our basic principles of anesthesia practice. Over the last 10 years, we've incorporated quite a large amount of simulation, as well as new technologies and procedural information. And the students are actually spending more time in the classroom than what correlates to a 3 credit hour course. So that's kind of the background or basis for what our proposal is throughout the curriculum.
And the table on page 169 of the packet explains the changes and where the credits are and the request. Any questions from the committee for Carrie?
I move to accept the major curriculum change request from the University of Kansas Department of Nurse Anesthesia Education, DNAP program, to increase selected course credit hours to match the increase in content, lecture time, simulation, and clinical time, as well as align more closely with the university's definition of the credit hour.
Thanks, Karen.
I'm second.
Thanks, Ruth. All in favor, or any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Abstentions. Motion carries. Thank you, Carrie, Paul, and Paul. We appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, next we have Cloud Community College. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Stephanie Perrette, and I'm the Dean for Health Professions at Cloud County Community College. I'm here representing our nursing faculty with the request to enhance the delivery options for our health assessment course, allowing for either face-to-face or a hybrid delivery option.
Okay. Any questions for Stephanie?
I actually do have.
Okay,
Yes.
Will they be coming into the lab to do a head to toe? Is that part of your requirement to complete the course then?
Yes.
Check off of.
Yes, so that is part of their final exam is the completion of the head to toe. And that's why we are not offering for a fully online delivery
Will
modality.
they have an opportunity to, at some point in the semester, to receive some coaching with that, especially with the higher order skills with the head to toe?
Yes, we actually plan on the students still coming in almost weekly or with every module to come in and have that live demonstration interaction with the clinical instructor so that they can have the proper instruction and not just watching a video or something that is completely more self-directed asynchronous.
any additional questions?
I move to accept the major curriculum change request from Cloud County Community College to change the delivery method of NR 110 health assessment for nurses to either in-person or hybrid modality.
Thanks. Second. Thanks, Patty. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed, no. Abstention. Motion carries. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Stephanie. Okay, next we have Rasmussen.
Yeah, a couple of you.
Good morning. Thank you for
Good morning.
coming. If you'd like to take a moment to introduce each of yourselves.
Yes, thank you for having us. So I'm Jamie Magana and I'm the nurse administrator for the Kansas Rasmussen University programs.
Jay Buckholz, I'm the campus executive director of the nursing programs.
Terry Podum, Area Dean of Nursing.
Thank you. And if you'd like to briefly describe your request to increase student numbers.
Yes, so we're looking to increase currently for the ADN program. We are approved by the board to enroll 32 ADN students at our Topeka campus location and then 32 at our Overland Park location. And we do have approval with the board to share those seats. So right now we're doing 64 across the two campuses. And our request is to increase that to 50 ADN spots for each campus and still being able to share those. And with our current admission enrollment numbers, Overland Park's definitely been taking borrowing from Topeka, and we've been doing great. So that's one of the reasons I chose to bring my campus executive director, Jay Buckholz, because he kind of handles the admissions and enrollments part of that. So
Mine said insert member design not so.
Yeah.
Well, that's 100 per quarter. Is that what you're asking for?
yes, because currently we do 32 to each location. And we're asking to increase it to 50 per quarter for each location.
What's been the average enrollment over the last 3 or 4 years for both campuses?
I don't have for 3 or 4 years, but
Well,
I have.
most current.
Yeah, most currently, like last quarter, in the fall, we filled the full 64. We're on pace to do that again this term. The previous quarters to that in 2025, we were marching towards that. So 41, 36, and 48. Really, that was based on our NCLEX outcomes. So we had a little bit of a slower pace there, where we backed off, any paid marketing, things like that. So now that outcomes are back where we want them, we're focused on growing from that standpoint.
So do you have a waiting list of qualified people that could step in if you had those numbers?
So we don't call it a waiting list, but essentially, we have turned candidates away for the ADN program. We've also had students apply that didn't ultimately meet the requirements that you could bucket in that. But we do have sufficient demand for seats in the program. A lot of our area employers, especially in the Kansas City metropolitan area, have kind of expressed a strong desire to have more graduates.
And faculty, do you have adequate number of faculty to increase? I mean, this is a significant increase to start a month from now.
Yep.
And you have faculty in place, especially clinical faculty.
Yes, we do. We have plenty of faculty. We have a very large adjunct pool, especially in Overland Park. But we also have that in Topeka. The adjunct pool is a little bit smaller, but the faculty is not an issue.
So what about clinical sites and especially for, do you use MoCan?
We
for
do.
a lot of your
Mhm.
stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, for MoCan, well, and this is crucial right now. We have enough contracts that we haven't been, required to use right now. So we have quite a few new sites that we could use. In Topeka as well, the same, several new contracts that we have in place. And then we just recently added on Lawrence Memorial, and we've already got approved placements there. So we shouldn't have any issues with clinical sites.
I have a question regarding where you came up with the number of a total of 400, because that is quite a jump. So what did you base that number on in terms of projections? Like, how did you arrive at increasing it by that much?
I believe that the leadership team looked overall at what our numbers have been and where we're at, and what additional we could make with the faculty and those that we have on hand. At the end, put on.
Classroom space, clinical site utilization,
Okay.
all of those pieces back there.
And going forward, do you also have like a 2-year plan, a 5-year plan going forward to maybe increase more, or what's your plan with that?
I don't know what we do per se. It's really based on continuing strong outcomes, right? So if we can get that in quote success on track continuously, we would consider that. But again, like similar to 2024, when our rates were a little bit, our pass rates were a little bit lower, we slowed. So that we could obviously take care of the students.
I have another question too, in terms, you mentioned you have a lot of adjunct faculty.
Yeah.
So as you project going forward with such a significant increase, I'm hoping you also have a core group of full-time.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah, the full-time faculty, the good thing about our full-time faculty is they've been very consistent. We haven't had really any turnover at all with our full-time. So our full-time, I have the most tenure actually, and started out as faculty, and I've been there 10 years. And many of them came in 3 months, 6 months after me, and so they all have really good tenure. We are actually gonna have an opening here for another full-time, and then potentially a second one in Overland Park.
How many full-time do you have now, Jamie?
Currently in Overland Park, we have 5 full-time, and then there's 4 full-time in Topeka, so we have 9. But like I said, we have a huge adjunct pool in Overland Park, and so that's why we've been able to have a little bit less full-time. But if we have the requisitions, if we need them, to hire more.
so for your core classes, I'm thinking especially foundations, all your adult health. And even your specialty, like maternal.
And
Are you using adjuncts for any of the regular didactic, for any of those core?
For didactic, the only adjuncts that we use currently is for a final quarter leadership didactic course.
Okay.
And then I have a top of the line subject matter expert for pharmacology, and she's been consistent, and she's actually the subject matter expert leading pharm across our whole university. So she's got her doctorate, and she's amazing.
And so going forward with this increase, that plan would stay the same to utilize full-time for those core.
Yes.
Courses.
That's Rasmussen's kind of that's always our goal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So if you, bless you, if you add these, if you add these people, are they all gonna sit in the same class, or are you going to divide the class into sections?
We would have to do sections, and I've already kind of had to start doing that, and so I've always been the dean that rides a tighter ship, so our sections have been just a little bit larger. But now I've gotten, actually, this will be our first quarter where I've had to split them, and we're running 2 sections. And excited about that, but yeah.
Can I ask, Janelle, as far as your, 2025 numbers are probably not done for NCLEX because you probably have students still
Yeah,
left.
2025 is not, I do have some of our numbers here. So for the past, basically for 2023, our ADN combined between the two campuses was 84.56. For 2024, it was 89.9. And then so far for 2025 for our, I have Q1 and Q2, and that was at 90.9%.
Should have Q3.
I didn't write those down, but Q3 was still, it was above the 80%.
Yeah, it was
I think
like-
it had came down just
Yeah,
slightly, but
below 90, but
it wasn't much.
still in the mid to upper 80s. I can't remember exactly because I've got too many numbers.
Yeah.
And 5-year report is on the website too. Yeah, there were
Yeah.
that those 3 years before that were a struggle coming out of, I think
Yes.
a lot of it was coming in with COVID, but
Yeah.
just starting to get some traction.
So currently your max is 256 per year if you fill all seats. Do you know about what your completion rate is?
Yeah. So our completion rate for 2024, 2025 was 41.89%, which Rasmussen's expected level of achievement is 40%. So we've been meeting that.
There's 60% of the students are not completing the program.
They still complete. If you look at our, if you look at, yeah,
On
if
time.
you look at that, yes, I should have said on time, definitely. Because our ultimate completion rate, I don't have it here in front of me, but it's very good. Our students pretty much are completing the program, but due to medical leaves and just life situations, they're taking a little bit longer, but okay.
So your request would be to go from 256 to 400 base,
Yes.
which is a significant increase in numbers, so.
Do you know how many you had to turn away?
This last term, I would have said 8 to 10.
Then I did 4 times a year.
Oh, 4 times. 4 times to make 4 fours. Up to 40. Okay. You need to go 7.
Okay, any additional questions? So the way the motion is drafted is we need to decide on a number as a committee that we feel comfortable with the increase. The request is for 100 per quarter.
It just seems like a lot. Yeah, I think it seems like 40. They need- with some breathing room.
With some breathing room.
They need breathing room.
Yeah, we could easily. We took it down. Placeholder in there.
Placeholder.
For quarterly additions, it makes it a
Yeah,
little bit
yeah,
easier.
so if we. They would still have breathing room of 50.
Maybe maybe 60.
Maybe 50 more. 50 a quarter,
15.
15, yeah.
Yeah, that was it. Let's do increase that.
We could do,
And I felt comfortable with that.
yeah, if we did an additional 15 a quarter, which would take you up to an additional 60 a year, and then you've still got this, just to see if this is a fluke year, which could be, or if it still increases, you certainly have the right to come back and ask for more.
Mhm.
But it gives you a little bit of cushion plus what you've already started turning away.
I feel comfortable.
Sure. I move to accept the major curriculum change request for Rasmussen University ADN program to increase the number of admitted students from 64 students to 79, yeah, 79.
If you want to make it easy.
I'm gonna go with it, 79 students per quarter shared between the Overland Park campus and the Topeka campus starting in January of 26.
Okay, we have a motion.
I second.
Thank you, Ruth. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Abstention, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is KU School of Nursing.
They're gonna be there.
Yeah, this is bring the troops up. They're gonna be here a lot.
Yes, there's five.
No, they're all very different. Yeah, they're all probably doing
Get
separately.
you water or snacks or. Good morning. Thank you for coming over. If you'd like to take a moment to introduce yourselves.
Sure. Good morning to everyone. I'm Jean Giddens. I'm the Dean at the KU School of Nursing.
And I'm Laura Klinke Boardman. I'm the Associate Dean of the Undergrad Programs at KU.
Good morning. I'm Jill Peltzer. I'm the Associate Dean for Graduate Programs.
Okay. So there are five separate motions. If we'll start with the first one, the all program request.
We were actually just having a conversation about what the all program request was as opposed to the individual. Unless you're looking for like an overview.
Just you had a request in for your mission, vision, values. I thought covered all programs. That's my
It does,
mistake.
it does.
Okay.
I wasn't connecting what that was.
That's
Okay.
what it was.
Okay, we'll take that. Well, first of all, I'll start with an apology and a message of gratitude. And I say that because we sent you a whole lot of stuff.
Yes.
To look at. Just know that that was intentional because with the new curriculum redesign to align with the essentials, we need to make sure that all of our programs build upon one another. And the best way for us to create a synergistic curricula across all of our programs was to design them all at the same time. So it's brilliant, but it's also a curse because it's quite an uplift and it was probably very challenging for all of you to review, but we do appreciate your looking at all of these programs. So overall, yes, we did have a change in our mission, vision, work. That was part one of a two-part process where we are doing a new strategic plan. And whenever you do a strategic plan, it's typical to look at mission and vision. We had a consultant work with us, and it was a all faculty process to agree on our new mission and vision statements. And that is also important for us to do that work before we do total curriculum redesign. So that all again fits together. So I'll stop with that and see if there's any questions.
Okay. And the updated mission, vision, and values is on page 227.
Yes.
Any questions from the committee?
I move to accept the major curriculum change request from the University of Kansas to revise and update the mission, vision, and values to all programs, undergraduate, graduate, and certificates.
Thanks, Angela.
And I second.
Thank you, Bruce. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Abstentions, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
And then the program by program, we'll have our two associate deans field questions from you on those.
Okay, so Laura, we'll start with the undergraduate program.
Okay.
You want to give us a brief synopsis?
Absolutely, sure. So I'm here representing the undergraduate program with the curricular changes at KU. Though, as Dean Giddens mentioned, this major curriculum revision really is rooted in the AACN Essentials. And that's what has sort of been the underpinning of our entire redesign process. It still very much intentionally integrates concept-based knowledge while also including Miller's Pyramid to bridge knowing and doing in professional practice. You'll notice as you've looked through that while some content is definitely familiar in scope and familiar in our previous curriculum, we have really looked at the course content and it has been fully redefined and redistributed to support intentional practice, progressive performance development, and demonstration of those important skills that are essential for the graduate generalist nurse. You'll also see that learning experiences are scaffolded across the 4 AACN spheres of care, guiding student progression from foundational health promotion to more complex practice-ready care with palliative care integrated through. Please note that the on-campus program is primarily delivered on ground, with online modalities offered for courses that do overlap with those delivered in our RN to BSN and our CCNP, our Community College Nurse Partnership Program. The traditional program consists of 60 credit hours and a minimum of 585 clinical hours. And the RN to BSN and clinical, or the Community College Nursing Partnership, those actually require 30 credit hours of coursework completed through the KU School of Nursing. So there is some overlap between the courses and our on-ground BSN with our CCNP and RN to BSN tracks.
Excellent. Yes. As you said, there's a tremendous amount that, you know, it required a separate folder. Yeah. Very suitcase. Cross your T's and dotted your I's, so we do appreciate that.
Thank you.
Any questions from the committee?
Yes. No. Yeah.
Yeah. It's commendable amount
Well
of
done.
work.
Yes.
To take all of these programs at one time.
Okay. Want me to go? Yeah. I move to accept the major curriculum change request from the University of Kansas School of Nursing BSN program to revise the curriculum to reflect the 2021 AACN Essentials, which will continue to be concept-based and will also incorporate competency-based methodology that is in alignment with the AACN recommendations for baccalaureate nursing education.
Thank you, Ruth.
I second.
Thanks, Patty. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Abstentions. Motion carries. Thank you. Now we will move into the direct entry MSN program, which we talked about a little in September, knowing this was probably coming. So there was a little education for the committee members about the direct entry. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this will be the first one in Kansas. Yes, so you're pioneers on this.
Yeah.
And this one starts on page 282.
So what you'll notice about this is that the current MS program that we have at the KU School of Nursing was designed for baccalaureate prepared RNs to advance nursing roles in things like nursing education, public health nursing, organizational leadership. Please note, yes, exactly. So please note in this revised program, this will be an MSN direct entry. So the focus of the the master's program is changing. This is specifically designed to exclusively for students who already hold a bachelor's degree in a non-nursing discipline, but who also seek entry into the nursing profession. So it does not contain specialties like the previous focus of our masters. Rather, it provides the full complement of didactic, simulation, and clinical experiences required for licensure as an entry-level registered nurse.
I'll also just add to what Laura had just mentioned, a lot of the courses are shared, both in B&P and bachelor's to make this a resource efficient programming. And you may not know, but this type of program, master's entry, is a growing phenomena nationally. In 2023, there were 97 like programs in the nation. In 2024, that number had grown to 107. It is estimated to be over 120 in the next report that was just, we just finished our reporting, but I expect the next report's going to show over 120 or thereabouts. So it's definitely on the rise, and we're very proud to be able to bring this to the people of Kansas as well.
Wonderful. Any questions from the committee?
I don't, but I applaud you for doing this. I worked with the MENP in another state, as you know, and I found these to be a different kind of a nurse. Almost all of my former students went on and got a doctorate, usually a DNP, and a lot of them became educators. And so that is my hope that this will happen with your program.
We do too.
Any other questions or comments?
I move to accept the major curriculum change for the University of Kansas School of Nursing to revise the master's program to reflect the 2021 AACN Essentials and to transition its academic focus to better align with evolving workforce needs, accreditation standards, and national priorities in nursing education to be a pre-licensure master's direct entry nursing program. It is modeled after the BSN curriculum with both concept-based and competency-based methodologies in alignment with the AAC and recommendations for pre-licensure nursing education.
Thanks, Pat.
Second.
Angela seconded. Okay, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Abstentions. Motion carries. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
And yes, thank you for leading the way on this. Okay, next is the DMP major curriculum change, which begins on page 332. Jill.
Good morning. So the Doctor of Nursing Practice program, we revised in alignment with all of the work that was done by Laura and her team to align with the AACN core essential competencies for advanced nursing level education. That our revised program integrates a concept-based learning with competency-based education model that ensures graduates will demonstrate mastery across the domains of advanced nursing practice. A couple of the key components of our revised curriculum, in addition to having a competency-based framework, is that we have really streamlined the core courses as we developed our DMP program and made some minor revisions over the last years. There's been a lot of adding on new courses, so there was a lot of redundancy. So our program is much more efficient and can be completed in 9 semesters or 3 years for full-time students. So the credit hours are about 67 to 75, depending on the particular specialties. So we have 5 specialties, 4 of which are advanced practice that include adult gero, acute care, NP, the family nurse practitioner, nurse midwifery, and psych mental health NP.
Any questions about the first request?
Move to accept the major curriculum change request from the University of Kansas School of Nursing graduate DMP programs to revise their curriculums to reflect the 2021 AACN essentials, incorporating competency-based methodology that is in alignment with the AACN recommendations for advanced practice.
Second. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
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 Opposed, no. Abstentions, motion carries. Thank you. And then we will move to the AGACNP MCC request, which is on page 427 of the packet.
So the AGACNP, we made revisions to that, again, to streamline the content and to make sure that in our new advanced practice specialties, we have 3 didactic courses. In the past, we had 2. So now we have 3 didactic courses. The students that are in the certificate take a didactic course and the practicum at the same time. So they're in practicum 1 with acute care 1, practicum 2 with acute care 2. And they also have an invasive procedures course, which is a new course in the revised AGACNP certificate.
Okay. And this is a postmaster certificate.
Yeah, sorry, this is postmaster certificate.
Yeah. Any questions from the committee?
Madam Chair, I move to accept the major curriculum change request for the University of Kansas Graduate Postmaster Certificate Program for Adult Gerontology Acute Care Nurse Practitioner to revise the curriculum to reflect the 2021 AACN Essentials and incorporate competency-based methodology that is in alignment with the AACN recommendations for advanced practice.
Second. Thanks, Patty. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Abstention. Motion carries. Next is the postmaster certificate for the FNP program.
So
448.
So the major revision for the family nurse practitioner postmaster certificate is that we added a 3rd didactic course, so that the core content is over 3 didactic courses now instead of 2. And then the students in the certificate program take the according practicum. We also have variable practicum hours because we have some students coming in who have a certain number of clinical hours and they may not need so many to meet that required amount for the new certificate.
Any questions from the committee? No.
I move to accept the major curriculum change request from the University of Kansas Graduate Postmaster Certificate Program for Family Nurse Practitioner to revise the curriculum to reflect the 2021 AACN Essentials and incorporate competency-based methodology that is in alignment with the AACN recommendations for advanced practice.
Thank you. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Abstention. Motion carries. Okay. Next is the Postmaster Certificate for Family Nurse. No, that's what we just did. So nurse midwifery. 469.
So this is another postmaster certificate, again, in the major revisions to move to competency-based program. We have made the same changes to the nurse midwifery program and updated the courses, the didactic courses that the students will take so that we are covering well women, lifespan, primary care, and then of course the obstetric care in the midwifery.
Any questions from the committee? No?
I move to accept the major curriculum change request for the University of Kansas Graduate Postmaster Certificate Program for Nurse Midwifery to revise the curriculum to reflect the 2021 AACN Essentials and incorporate competency-based methodology that is in alignment with the AACN recommendations for advanced practice.
Great. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Abstention. Motion carries. Okay, the next one is the psych mental health. 491. Thank you, page 491.
So this postmasters CERT is a revision of our psych mental health NP program, again, to align with the new AACN Essentials competency-based education. And as we made revisions to this, we did have some more intentional content around integrative behavioral care and behavioral care in primary care settings.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee?
I move to accept the major curriculum change request for the University of Kansas Graduate Postmaster Certificate Program for Psychiatric Mental Health Nurse Practitioner to revise the curriculum to reflect the 2021 AACN Essentials and to incorporate a competency-based methodology that is in alignment with AACN recommendations for advanced practice.
Thank you, Patty. Thanks, Ruth. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Abstentions, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, you made that so easy. Yes. By giving us lots of documentation,
Yes.
everything we needed, it was.
Organized,
Yeah, to review this, and I think your faculty and staff probably deserve a little break after all this.
Yes,
definitely.
So now we have to.
Yes.
Programs.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, we've gone for another hour. Is the committee okay, or do we? Okay. Okay, we will continue on with our nursing education annual report, which is on page 514. You want to discuss that, Janelle?
I think I just have a few things I would throw out there, and then if you have questions, because I don't want to take up a lot, you've seen it. The core survey that you're seeing here in the first part of the annual report, there's actually two sections. You've probably noticed that. One is the core survey, which is all the questions that all schools answer that's part of the NCSBN core. So that's where the comparison data comes from. That's on our website, where we'll be able to look at ourselves compared to national numbers, as well as look at what individual schools are doing, as well as Kansas as a whole. So I think, what it does is it gives us a lot of information about the characteristics of what Kansas programs look like. And maybe the key piece is it's an overview of the 8 key quality indicators for nursing programs that are used in conjunction with pass rates as a way to look at programs. One of the things that was done when NCSBN introduced the annual report guidelines and looking at those key indicators was that 5-year study of site visits and programs and looking at what makes a program the difference between one that's doing well and maybe one that's struggling, other than a pass rate. Pass rates are late indicators, so these are kind of helpful, and so that's what we've been trying to gear as we've been doing. This is our 4th year with this report and information, trying to do more and getting that information to make more sense. There's a lot of data in there. So it pulled out some of the pieces on the key indicators. That's what you're seeing in here. It's not the entire report. That's a little overwhelming. And I will just say, so a couple of things, a reminder that I think it's page, trying to remember where the table, 528. 528 is actually the summary of the key quality indicators. So a lot of the things that are in there are describing Kansas programs. Things you already know, we're primarily rural. 56% of our programs are in rural areas. We're primarily public state school based. 74% of us, of all the programs, are considered a public or state school. We currently, this was in the 24-25, 23 PN programs, 23 ABN, 16 BSN. We have 8 programs that are less than 7 years old, and all but one of those are less than 4 years old. So we know that new programs often need more support, and that's why we put that as an indicator. We just want to make sure we understand where they stand. 30 of our 62 respondents offer some level of hybrid or online learning as part of their program. It varies from about 10 to 75%. So there is a program, I think the median is about 16%. But we do have a range. We do have 5 or 6 schools that are above the 50% mark. We have people at 50, 60, 62, and 75, I guess, of those 4 schools. And then there's a couple at 45 and 40. So some significant changes. I will tell you that we only have 2 programs that have certified sim labs. We have 4 or 5 programs, I'm trying to remember, that have certified sim faculty who work for the programs or for their programs. And the ones offering the 40% and above, only one of those is a school that has certified sim faculty. So we have a lot of simulation being done. And I know we always encourage them to look at what the standards are, and not everybody can afford to go through that process, but there is more and more encouragement to try and work towards certified sim faculty to be helping lead that process when they're using a large amount of, this is simulation being used as clinical replacement. So that's why it's significant and kind of why I'm pointing that out. 26 or 42% of the programs experience major organizational changes. We know that major organizational changes can impact nursing programs from the president on down. You can have a president who's very supportive and turn around and have one who doesn't understand it as much. So there's always a little bit of reverberation even in the nursing program, or could be. And that's, again, these are key indicators. They can either be to show us programs that are doing really, really well, or where there might be some problems. So always keeping that in mind, that just because someone has that marker doesn't make them automatically a problem. but you start looking at multiple indicators that are off and you have to look at what they are. So I would just, again, that's kind of the reminder. Oh, I'm sorry, 9 have at simulation certified faculty. 2 have a lab that's accredited. One of the things I will point out, there are 7 programs that have less than 200 direct care hours. It's just an awareness, the main program direct care hours for all of our programs is just under 400. So that could be significant when we're looking at a program that could be struggling. But we also know that there are programs that are doing very, very well and do have that lower set of numbers. And remember, this includes all PN, ADN, and BSN. So unless we break that down, that doesn't always tell us the whole picture, but I think it is something that we want to look at. Again, as we're making decisions about site visits and everything else, that's what these reports are intended, and I don't know. I think hopefully this will give some more light to that as we continue. Say things in there, but I did put things in about the direct care hours. 3 or more directors in the last 5 years. We do have 5 programs that fit that category. Some of them are kind of on the cusp. Rasmussen and University of St. Mary. It's 3 or more directors in 5 years. And I think that Jamie has now been there. I think this year you will get out of that category.
Feels like 100 years.
Yeah, I know. And St. Mary's the same way. They've had 4 in the last 5 years, but Karen has come back. One of those is the same person. So, I mean, again, looking at that and then to look at Donnelly too, just to point out too, they've had 5 in the last 15 months. So it does impact how programs work. And I think that is one of the things that we have looked at. Just an awareness, we have 19 administrators out of 56 in the undergraduate that also have responsibility for allied health. It's just an awareness. We know that some that have to diversify their focus like that, sometimes it can be more of a load, and we just always want to make sure they're supported for the nursing programs. One thing we haven't talked a lot about, and it kind of came up with Rasmussen, so I'm just going to mention it, is that I did put in there the on-time graduation rate. Some programs are set up a little bit more like, Rasmussen is a little bit different with a quarterly admission, and then also because they do quarterly, they have people who may not be on-time graduates, and because they're one of the ones, we have 5 that have. They have a 40% threshold, but accreditation has a 70% threshold for on time. So just keep that in mind. And we have 5 programs that are below that 70% mark. And it's just something because what that's meaning for some of those programs that only have once a year admission, that folks that are not graduating, it's just a longer cycle and can be more difficult for them. So we're looking at that 70% and trying to we want them to be able to graduate on time. It kind of, and what is the support for students who aren't graduating on time? What's going on? I think those are some indicators that come even before, like I said, before the NCLEX. So again, just to kind of support what we were seeing. Donnelly's at 16%, Fort Scott at 47%. Kansas, just their PN program. And again, some of these are because students end up not being able to do the full time. And that's why they pick programs that have, generally, why they pick programs that have more than one admission cycle. For them, it's easier for them to continue, even if they're not considered an on-time graduate.
That starts on page 541 of the report with the BSN and then followed by the ADN and PN. And I think what we need to be cognizant of, that is taking up a fee to students joining the program. So when we have students who are not graduating on time, we are not getting new nursing students into programs because they now count as a number in the next cohort. So that can become a problem. Yeah, could become a problem with workforce numbers.
So in terms of the core, I guess in summary, on that summary page, the one thing I wanted to say is that what I did was I put only people on that, so you're not gonna see everybody in indicators. Because Kansas doesn't require accreditation, if that was their only indicator, I didn't put them on the list. And then, so all the ones listed are ones that had 3 or more. Or I think 2 or more. What's the word? I can't think of. But, well, 2 or more indicators that were not accreditation. So they might have 3, but if one of them is accreditation. So I put anybody who had 2 other than accreditation or more. On there, just to show what we're doing to look at, or how we can look at that summary list. And again, just because they're on this summary list, I was gonna try and give an example here. I think I had. And Neosha shouldn't have been on there. Their PN program, I inadvertently included them when they weren't 2 or more. So 19 programs had 2 or more key quality indicators not met, excluding accreditation. Again, keep in mind that many programs had that major organizational change that may or may not have caused them issues. And we can always look at that in comparison with along with their NCLEX numbers. And I think that's what these key quality indicators are intended to do, is give you that added look at what's going on with the pass rates and seeing if we can see and what's going on with indicators hopefully before we see anything happen. So any other questions about the core report? Do you think the summary can tell us a lot? We have 4 programs on conditional approval. And let's see, 1, 2. Three of the 4 are on that list. Seward is our other one unconditional. Right now, their pass rate is that is the reason for their ADN is why they're unconditional, and they've been working on those numbers. They have smaller numbers and they've kind of been up and down. They haven't been below standard for more than 1 year. They always get back up, but they didn't have any other indicators. So hopefully they're kind of smoothing themselves out there. And just in the next part of are the additional questions. So on the core report, the program administrators answer all the questions for the core summary, and then Kansas has additional questions that we do ask, and some of that is based on the Board of Education, our accreditation through them. There are some requirements we have. Those are mostly our numbers. And so on page 530 to wherever the end of that is, it gives the numbers. It's just pretty much the numbers on admissions, graduations, and it separates the programs and it looks at pass rates for each of the. And I will tell you that for PN and BSN, we are above national averages. ADN is kind of right there. When we look at our combined RN rate, we are definitely above the national average, which is great. We seem to be recovering pretty well from some of the COVID downturn. It gives you what our advanced practice programs admission numbers are. We don't have requirements on that, but just to kind of show what that's doing. And then what I have done the last, I think 3 or so years, there's some attrition articulation information that attrition information, just to point out, we did get a pretty big bump in that attrition rate. And that may be something we want to, I don't know how to look at that over time. We've heard complaints from a couple of times. The complaints from students are that they feel like the admission criteria are getting so high that we're weeding out students that could be successful. But then there are other ones who don't have great, or they just accept. I mean, some have open acceptance, but more open acceptance policies. So we're seeing more fallout from that. An example of that might be Galen. Looks like their attrition rate is high, but we know their program admits people. They could be right out of high school and be admitted because they have all the prerequisites within their program, and they're going to be counted as an admission because they're admitted to the nursing program right from the start. And then there's a whole and they talked about this when they first started too, maybe at 30 to 35% of those will never make it to a nursing course. But so that their attrition rate, once they start nursing school, is lower, but overall could look higher. So again, keeping in mind what some of the things, those things mean, the numbers alone don't tell the whole story. You've got to look at them in the context of everything. And then on page 541 through 43, that's really the summary data. I've basically put this year's admissions, graduations, along with the NCLEX pass rate from the last year. Looking at percent of full-time faculty, that's one of the key indicators. The number of program directors, a key indicator, and the on-time graduation rate on it, again, is an indicator. Just putting it there for more clarity in just how that fits together. So unless there are questions, that would be our annual report.
Thank you. A lot of data.
Yeah, I will say a couple things happened this year that made me more aware. Because we did it a little bit later, thank you for the allowance, because our report was later. I talked to Kiana a little bit about what our issues were, and we did have 2 or 3 programs that kind of struggled with numbers and making sure but we wanted to make sure it was correct, because when you're looking at comparatively, they need to be doing the same numbers that everybody else is to make that work. After reviewing a couple of those reports, I will say that I think that we still have a couple of major data issues with a couple of programs. We're gonna have to go back to really get an accurate picture. It kind of skews all of our data when it's in there incorrectly. So I don't know what we can do for this year, but that is one of the things I'm gonna bring. And unless you have anything else you want me to take, we always do a meeting with NCSBN at the end of the year to see if we feel like there need to be changes to the core. They're trying to do as little change as possible because it makes comparison harder if you start changing a lot. But if there's something that needs changing, I will say that on the additional questions, I did change. We added 3 questions this year to more directly look at, when programs start, the board approves a number of seats. And then there's the number of seats that programs are actually admitting to. So I'm gonna use Pratt for example. We don't have them anymore, but when they started, they had 4 campuses and they were approved for 160 seats. By the time they closed, they had they had 2 sites, but probably should have had 1 and maybe 16 admissions overall. So they were not filling their seats, but there was a reason. 2 of their campuses were gone. And there's not ever an adjustment to what the official approval was initially, but the school has to make a decision at some point too. Can they still accommodate the number? And so when we have a request for increase, we never really see a request for decrease. So showing that picture to the outside world in terms of here are the number of seats that were approved, because we can get a lot of lashback. Well, you weren't filling seats, why not? Well, we were trying to tell a better story from the school's perspective. And so we asked some questions about what is your approved number? What is your actual admitting number? So that actual admitting number is really what we need to be looking at in terms of total seats that are available, because that really is all that's available. Even if we've approved them for more, but we also ask, what's the difference? Is it physical space? Is it faculty number? Is it clinical? And they could pick multiple. So we're trying to get a better picture so we can explain. I mean, we've had questions from legislature this year. We've had questions from Workforce Center this year. Some from a national perspective, I'm hearing we're talking more about that in our education calls. So we did add those questions. So I want to thank all the administrators for, that was the only addition we did to try to get that better picture. So hopefully we'll have that as part of our way to let people know what's really going on with nursing education in Kansas. Questions?
Janelle, thank you. The way the amount of data and the way it's organized, it's very, very helpful.
Any changes you would make, any additions you would like to see?
Okay. I know one thing that comes to mind when you talk about programs that aren't entering the data maybe appropriately, or we had delays with NCSBN because the numbers weren't adding up, is this program or this report's due in the summer.
It's true, yeah, by
Yes.
June 30th.
June 30th, and many times new administrators start with the new fiscal year, but our new administrator training is not until September.
Oh,
So we might want to consider not adding more to your plate, but sometime in early June or maybe with the June board meeting, if there are new administrators, because I was one of those that came on in June and this was due June 30th. And I had no training to know how to answer these questions. Luckily, my mentor was still in the building and
Right.
able to help, and admin assistants who help with the data entry. But it may be a lot for a new administrator that starts anytime in the spring semester or anytime since the last report was
Okay.
due. Is even if it's a
Good to
Zoom
know.
training, right, because it might be helpful, yes. Adrian.
Suggestion, maybe we could talk to NCSB and they have a really good AV department. They can maybe make a video for all the boards, not just Kansas.
right, that's, I think, a great thought too, because what I've done the last couple of years, it seemed like it was hard to find a time between getting all the changes from NCSBN to when we were trying to open it earlier, or so that they would have it available. We had requests from administrators that when we don't open it till May and they're in the midst of graduation and all that, then it pushes them back. So if they have the opportunity to look at it earlier and get started on what data they need to get to, that was helpful. So we've been trying to do that. And I put out basically an email type of, I did an FAQ sheet this year. I hope that was helpful. Probably should do a little follow-up survey to see what was helpful, what wasn't. But could possibly do that for the year two, or just make it available. And then that way, I probably would have done it before June. So I probably just need to make that more, more available like year round. Because I do have it out there in the administrator orientation this is something they're responsible for, but I think I probably should update that. So I will look into that.
It's an opportunity.
Absolutely,
Maybe
absolutely.
for new administrators, so. But thank you. Also, just knowing the website. Only one person can access it once the URL is accessed on your campus. No one else can access it, so that one person has to enter all data, and you have to get to certain breaks or else it does not save your data. Which can be very tedious if you
Yeah.
don't get to that break and you have to re-enter data. Yes, it would be lovely if it was a more user-friendly website that we were entering it on, which is not KSBN,
Yeah,
that's in
right.
PSBN, but yes, it becomes a little problematic for entering data.
Is it still the Qualtrics?
Yes.
Yeah, they're still using.
Yeah, it's just more you have to get to section breaks before you can
Right.
stop, and sometimes life happens and and yeah, and the fact that only one person's computer can log into it, it will not allow another person.
Right.
I
Which
don't
is-
know if it's just me or.
No,
So,
no,
okay,
it's
so
alright. It's,
Hear this. Yes.
yeah, it's one of the reasons, it is an extra step. It's one of the reasons why they send it to us and we send out the template, so you know what's coming, you know what you need. So
Right,
hopefully having it all, so somebody can sit down and enter it all. But yeah, unfortunately, that's kind of the limitation of the tool that's used. And it has been, just so you know, been mentioned at the follow-up for our annual report meeting. And I know they said something last time, they were trying to look at something. And I don't know, do you know anything more about that?
Yeah,
Look like you might.
they're doing some stuff with some data, like dashboarding and those sorts of things, and I'm wondering, I'm gonna ask one of the colleagues I have up there to see if that's on their strategic plan or not.
Okay, because I know we talked about it at the last meeting and nobody had a really good answer for it at the time. So we know it's an issue. They understand it's not ideal. Yeah, unfortunately, when you're dealing with, a bigger platform and trying to get, 39, at this point, 39 or 40 states on board.
Yes.
This is when we are.
Well, your data and report is very succinct and nice for us to have to review, so thank you for doing that.
Sure.
Okay, next up is, we don't need a motion to accept the report, is our refresher course. And I see there's a new option possibly at Colorado.
Okay, if you wanna, do you mind?
Please.
I don't have anybody online. They did send me information. So I had two folks reach out this quarter. Colorado Center for Nursing Excellence and because of our change in hours for our refresher course last year, I think, went into effect, we have a little bit lower requirement. And they may have made note of that, but Colorado actually has an LPN and an RN refresher. I've been looking for ones to kind of add to. Right now, there's only one LPN option and there are two RN. And we have one RN option within the state, which I think is great. Johnson County, I think at one point had a refresher, but it's been a while with all their other activities since that has been a viable option. So, Newman has one, they've revamped theirs, they're still going. So when it's in state, we can refer there. South Dakota State University continues to work with us on, both RN and PN. So this would just add another section. I don't know that they're necessarily, I think they're probably pretty equitable with South Dakota State in terms of the pricing for the Colorado program. But again, it's primarily online, didactic, which they do meet the requirements for, and then they work with them on clinical, observation time where they are. So they would need to meet the requirements for Kansas in terms of the 120 hours, which they do for both. Well, and I think, yeah, for both programs. It's 90 now for PN. So they meet the requirements for both programs. And so we're just looking for, from the board, from you all, a recommendation to add them to our list of, for those that are past the 5 years. For someone who isn't past the 5 years, sometimes I get calls about refresher. I just say any refresher course is fine, whatever fits yours. But for those who are past the 5 years, these are the ones that you require because we have certain hour requirements. And Colorado does meet those. They sent me how it's all web-based for their didactic, and they do have faculty that are available in their modules, and then how they set up their testing and what's included in that. So questions about that, I will try to answer if you have them. If I don't have them, then I will get them. If you don't feel like you can make a decision and you need more information, you just tell me about that. That's it. I can get that.
So Colorado is self-paced, looks like for the didactic portion.
I think they require it to be done. I'm trying to remember if it's them or the other program. They may have. No, it's self-paced. Just trying to think if they had a. And I'm looking again, I didn't realize until right now, I'm sorry, I didn't look. I looked at the tuition for the LPN is in line with what South Dakota is. It looks like the RN is more, there's more hours.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what that change is, unless it's faculty to. There's more hours, yeah. But yeah, the price has gone up for the other one when we approved. I think South Dakota State is over 2,000, but I can't, it's not. It's not 3, I don't think. I probably need to do an update, but anyway, it would at least give an option, and I'll just give it to you now. The on-site packet has one for Surrey College, again, online. They have a little bit more variable. They're like South Dakota State. They have a standard program. It didn't quite meet the requirements in terms of the didactic, so they can adjust it, and they have laid out, and that's why it took a little longer and why it's in the on-site, to show how they're gonna make the 120 hours for, and theirs is just RN. So this would give then RNs 4 options. But they're very similar, online didactic, module based, pretty much, the applicant based. I think they may be the one with the time limit. I was thinking one of them was 4 months to complete the didactic, or 5 months, but maybe I'm thinking wrong. And they did their I think Arizona State Board of Nursing, kind of has the original approval on this program. No, I think they're all, and the one thing I can't answer is I did not ask them in terms of if they have, South Dakota State has a point in time in which the student has to finish, or they have to ask for an extension. And they can have one extension, and then if they don't finish then they have to basically restart.
So I have a question about the Colorado one. So I'm looking at the RN in particular, the clinical practicum overview. It says that the State Board of Nursing must issue a temporary license when they do their clinical piece. Is that?
That's how we,
been?
that's how we do that.
Okay.
I mean, right now, somebody who has a lapse license for more than 5 years, they have to enroll in the program. They have to, the Colorado would have to tell us when they've completed their didactic. We would basically tell them to apply at that point, so they're pending. We don't issue a temporary in that sense. And I talked with her about that. I think what we do will be okay for them. She was doing some double checking, but it allows them then as an open application, they can do the clinical, and then once they complete and we get that information from, then we give them an active license.
Do we have stipulations on who they do the clinical with?
No, they just have to meet the requirements.
And they have an arrangement. They have to sign an agreement with this school.
And the school will help them look at for the type of situation. So they do have a certain, like RN, we said they had to have 120. But yeah, but there's, did we say all is 120 had to be in acute care?
I think it was the
It was the LPN.
LPN has, they can be long-term care or acute or a combination. And I think when we had more hours, I think we did say for RN, it can be, I think there's a small portion that could be outside of acute care, but most of them are not gonna look to change the sites at that point, but they would allow it if they wanted to do their, I think it's. We may have changed that with the change in regulation. I'm sorry. I look. But yeah.
Do we need more time, more information from Janelle?
I don't.
I think those are all that answer.
Okay, do we have anything about how that was set up when I was seeing it?
I don't have any outcomes for Colorado, did they?
It gives the module, it gives the concepts.
Yeah, I don't think they,
That has success.
no, that I don't have, and I mean, I'm glad to. We kind of, with the refresher.
You know how many people we have to have do this? That are outside the 5 years?
I'm trying to think, I know that. I'm not gonna say because I'll be wrong. I get an email from South Dakota State every time somebody applies, and then whether they complete or not, obviously if they complete, I could get you, that's probably a summary I owe you all to see how many we're actually doing. I know I've seen maybe a couple dozen come across my desk this year. And that would be for both our, I mean, that's so maybe 20 to 25 people that. I do get a lot of calls about it. I don't know that they all go on to. They look at the price, they look at the hours, and some of them do or don't. But I can do that too. That's probably something to be a good idea to just to get you guys an idea of what we're looking at, how many we're seeing. Entering our programs. I can check with Newman as well.
Maybe they have things in their success rate.
Okay, I can do that.
You can add that to our March agenda.
Yeah.
The report.
I will do that.
Any additional question? Are we comfortable with the June? Okay,
I move to accept the Colorado Center for Nursing Excellence refresher courses for RN and LPN as acceptable for those requiring a board-approved refresher course for the reinstatement of license after a 5-year lapse.
Second.
Thanks, Ruth. Okay, any discussion? All in favor, signify with yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed, no. Abstentions. Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Outcomes, and what was the second thing you said?
Success rate.
Completion, is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, well,
That's what.
yeah.
Yes, percentage that complete.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
The Sarah College. I move to accept the Sarah College refresher course for RN as acceptable for those requiring a board-approved refresher course for reinstatement of license after 5-year lapse.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, signify with yes.
Yes.
Abstentions are opposed, no. Abstentions, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, next Ruth is up with the LMHT task force updates.
Janelle, would you like me to proceed?
Please.
Alrighty, well, I wrote up a little blurb. So as you know, we convened the LMHT task force because of concern with declining numbers of enrollees and the apparent lack of need for the LMHT, which is of course the license to be a mental health technician. And we did have a meeting between the September board meeting and now we've tried to have two. We were successful in having one and I've written a few. We did well to have one because we wanted to get a good representation of stakeholders. And so at our October meeting, I believe we did have that. With the new, this is an outcome, with the new behavioral health hospital in South Wichita, there is a renewed need for the LMHT. The task force recommendation is to keep the LMHT as a licensed program, of course, under the Board of Nursing, and then continue to explore the feasibility of an or an MHT certificate under KDADS. And we did have two people from KDADS at our October meeting. Scott Bruner was one of them. So the task force priority is revision at this time of the LMHT regulations, followed by the revision of the exam and then further discussion regarding LMHT exam testing sites. The first graduating WSU cohort in this month have not had the pharmacology content included, which is included with the current LMHT exam. So they will take the current LMHT exam, which is administered by KSBN, because of the length of time it will take to review and revise the exam to assure reliability and validity. And the task force recommended that Janelle Martin contact the testing company and discuss options for fair scoring of that exam for that first cohort of WSU exams in light of the fact that they have not had pharmacology. And I believe it is at 13 questions. Janelle, I think we're pharmacology
At least,
related.
yeah.
So that is a significant number and they could be penalized. So also under discussion is the possibility of offering the LMHT exam at the program sites, but at a college testing center with a qualified proctor who is not program faculty. So that's my brief report. Thank you.
And if I just might add,
Please do.
the one thing, yeah, just in a little more about the, so when WSU put their program together for this, when you look at the regulations, pharmacology content is not clear. It was a very clear desire of the state hospitals at the time this was done 50 years ago, that they wanted that included, and so they put it into their content, but there is a place in there that talks about therapeutic or therapies or something that would indicate pharmacology could be considered part of that, but it wasn't stated as clearly. So that's one of the reasons we really need to revamp the reg if that's going to be. And we've had some discussion about that at the meeting too, whether pharmacology was expected. We've tried to talk with those who might be like, Deshaun was talking about St. Joe, right, is the one across the street, and the senior behavioral health place. I think medications, they're encouraging us to keep that as a part of the overall program. I don't know about the extent, but I think maybe, so that's something that needs to be clarified. But in response to the test, so their program will touch on all those therapies. Now, no pharmacology therapies are a part of that and how to respond. But there may, I think it could be, I think there was a range of like 13 to 16 questions that, depending on which version of the test they got, could be in there. So that's to give that exam and see how, I think what the plan is to talk to them about, can they score it and then look at it. If it's not a passing for some reason, to look and see if there are pharmacology questions that are the issue. And if so, if we can,
Right.
So, but we would have to do that with them because currently the way we do it is it gets outsourced. They hold the test. We give it, we send all the answer responses back to them. They score it and they send us the results. So we would just need to make sure with them to mark all those questions so that they could score appropriately for what our needs are in the immediate future.
Because of the changing needs of the workforce generation, so being, as you mentioned, that significantly changed. And then true, we also discussed CNA. Should that be included? Therefore, what will the market need
Right.
with all the changes that have
Or
happened?
CMA to get into
Correct.
the pharmacology.
Right. So all that is under discussion and hopefully we've got a good representation on the task force of schools that have been interested in the possibility of having their own programs or have had experience in the past. And then we're also bringing on other facility or basically end users of the LMHT personnel to make sure we're making our regulation with the changes in regulation. We hope are more in conjunction with what the needs are and what the role is for the LMHT.
Yeah, because we've had such a hard time getting meetings, we do have an active Teams block now. Where everything can be posted and we can go back and forth on that. We can see what each other are looking at doing. So it's gonna be a little more fluid now.
I think so. I think that helps a lot. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Patty.
Thank you. Well, thank you for the committee and for leading the effort.
Not Janelle.
Yes, yes, and Ruth. Wonderful. And then next up is our legislative review plan in a sample form.
Okay. So I apologize. This is something I forgot the last meeting. I think we were already kind of at time. So what's happened is, I think if you remember, we did all the legislative review that's now being required of us. We had to fill out whether the regulation was even needed, do that whole process. You also know that we've always had a process in place to review regulations and statutes every 5 years. And so basically what this is a plan and putting those things together so we're not doing them separately in the future. So this just it's part of our strategic objective to do this. And what it got in here basically is why we have to do it, what our review, what that looks like. And then on page 561 is a review schedule for nursing for our committee. What 2026 would look like if you would agree to this. This is what we do have a bigger plan and I will get that to you, the overall plan for the 5 years. Once we have that all settled, but this seemed like a better place to start with just looking at what we could be doing or what we are scheduled to do in 2026. And glasses are not on my head. I think. Yeah, so for some reason, 60-5-102, second from the bottom says 2029. It should be 2026. And actually those bottom two, those were due 2 years ago. Those are the ones that are in process. Those are the LMHT. So we know we're gonna be addressing those. But so we're gonna keep all of those on 2026, not 2029. So those would be the ones that we would put, and what the plan would be, unless you have a different, whether you want me to put all of them on for March and get done what we can, or whether you want me to section these out and put on 2 or 3 each time, so that we're reviewing, and what we'll be doing then is doing a review of, is it needed, blah, 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 it's the legislative piece, that's for the next time, Carol has already had to submit for the first round. And then we would also be looking at, do any changes need to happen within the regulations, so it would accomplish both purposes.
Seems like the border system would make more sense.
Yes.
It makes more sense unless there's something urgent and doesn't.
Yeah, it does
doesn't
go pretty well
sound like
last time,
it.
no.
Yeah, I think we'll do okay, and so I probably will maybe not start with the LMHT, because it may take us a couple
Right,
of
that's good.
sessions to
That's good.
revise that, but we
Yeah.
are making that a priority, it's just, I don't know if we'll have it ready for March, but I'm gonna ask if it's okay. Did I miss anything, Mr. Martin?
No, Mrs. Martin.
Okay.
You did stellar.
I missed it last time, so I just want to make sure, and the sample in there is just a draft of what we would fill out to accomplish both purposes for the purpose of our reporting.
And we need to have these done by September of 26 or December of 26.
December of 26.
December of 26, yeah, this, we have the whole year. Yeah, we did our 5-year, we got our 5-year review done for 2025. So for 2026, where I think we have a little more breathing room, because we don't have any.
How appropriate to come back right now.
Great. We draft them so well. Okay, so there's 12. So we can do three to 4 a quarter,
Yeah.
and we would have them done. If you see ones that would work better to group
Yeah.
in 4.
I will do that.
We can do more.
LMHT down to December.
Yeah, because by then we should have a hopefully all of it.
Okay.
Mr. Martin has a question on this one.
Oh, sorry.
Madam Chair, do you have the sample report?
Yes, it is
So,
on.
When you will receive from your KSBN staff person that summary completed for all legislation, and then it'll bring your attention to the asterisks. The asterisk questions are the ones that you as committee members need to draw your attention to, okay?
Perfect, thank you. Thank you. Okay. I believe we have completed all new business and unfinished business, and we are on to our agenda for 26, which I agree, the 2025 NCLEX report. Fort Scott, we will have a visit with you in February, so that will come under site visits. The 5-year review is
Yes.
updated and scheduled. Will we want an update at the March meeting from Dawn? Because I don't anticipate we would do a site visit between now and March, but would we like them to
I don't,
provide
I think that's gonna determine when we have to do so.
update on how their progress is with the recommendation? So if you could reach out to Laura, I will do that, and let her know that we would like an updated report. I would say based on the recommendation
Right.
from the fall site visit.
Yeah, because it would be extensive, just the recommendations.
Yes. And then, the summary of the refresher course, if you can get the
Yeah,
data
yeah,
for us on that. Anything else?
I think probably an LMHT
We'll have
staff
okay.
board would have to have some progress.
Yeah, we need to start on it, and we do this in December. Yeah.
Just
Are you going to all these? Okay, wonderful, thank you. Anything else we need to add to March that we know of right now? Okay,
I think so.
then I think we can adjourn the education committee meeting. 3 hours and 9 minutes. But that was a lot.
Record
of
time,
Yeah,
yeah.
a lot
Record
of
time.
Yeah, so thank you to the committee. And thank you to all of you that joined us on
Yes.
Zoom or in person. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thanks, Deb.
Thank you.
Good to see you.